Chapter 1476. At this moment, Bone River Demon Venerable shouted coldly and threw out his bone saber burning with white flames. It swept up a cold and evil flame, saber chi, and slashed at the world barrier. Chi. The world barrier was like a piece of paper. It was cut open by the bone saber and tore open a huge crack. Destroy the square heaven great world. Leave nothing behind. Bone River Demon Venerable ordered coldly. The bone flames in his eyes danced, revealing cruelty and evil equals and _1. The tens of millions of demons waiting at the back howled excitedly. They charged into the square heaven great world through the crack like a roaring flood. Kill! Xian Yintian took the lead to attack the demons. Behind him, the experts, the big goblin, and countless cultivators and demons charged out without hesitation. Boom! The two torrents collided. The explosive aura shook the galaxy and shook the sky. The subordinates Su Fong left behind in the square heaven great world were all battle-hardened elites who had mastered the grand fusion divine art. At this moment, they were all prepared to die. They didn't care about their lives at all. Their battle strength soared. Boom! 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 It wasn't just the explosions caused by the collision of auras. Most of the explosions were caused by cultivators exploding their golden cores and true chi before they died. Even the evil and cruel demons were frightened by the ferocity of the immortal Tao cultivators. They didn't know how many immortal Tao cultivators they had killed, but they had never seen anyone so unafraid of death. As the battle continued, the demon army didn't advance a single step. Instead, they were pushed back by the cultivator army. The number of casualties far exceeded the square heaven great world. Immortal Tao cultivators are all cowardly. I didn't expect this square heaven great world to have such a fearless cultivator. Su Fong is indeed extraordinary. I can't wait to see him. Bone River Demon Venerable grinned, revealing his white teeth. He was like an ancient ferocious beast that suddenly bared its ferocious fangs. As you wish. A cold and murderous voice suddenly came from afar and spread across the galaxy. Before the voice finished, a white figure whizzed through the void and appeared above the square heaven great world. Su Fong, Xianin Tian was surrounded by two demon emperors and was on the brink of death. After all, he had only advanced to a mortal emperor 200 years ago. How could he be a match for two devil emperor powerhouses? Hearing this voice, Xianin Tian couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. The two demon emperors who were about to kill Xianin Tian heard the name Su Fong, and their expressions changed instantly. Their eyes flashed with fear, and they couldn't help but retreat quickly. Emperor Su is back. The crowd fighting fiercely in the air was silent for a moment. The next moment, the cultivators of the square heaven great world burst into earth-shattering cheers. Their morale was instantly raised to the extreme, and they launched a fierce attack on the demon army. Aside from the devilish beings who had just arrived from the Elder Devil realm, all of the other tens of millions of devilish and devilish cultivators' expressions changed drastically, and their auras plummeted by around 20% to 30% as they were chased out of the spatial rift. Emperor Su is back. The voice traveled from the sky to the entire square heaven great world. On the territory on the ground, the 9 heaven constellations palace and the clear skies myriad scroll door suspended in the air, as well as the 5 small worlds, burst into thunderous cheers. The atmosphere of despair and pessimism instantly vanished. In the main hall of the mortal emperor world, many of the lesser realms' heavyweights were moved to tears. Emperor Su is back. Nearly 20 of the 100 immortal realms had been destroyed by the demon race. The remaining immortal realms were all in danger, as if doomsday had arrived. The powerhouses of the immortal realm had been paying attention to the battle between the demon race and the square heaven great world. Su Fong's appearance was like the sudden rise of a divine sun in a pitch-black night, dispelling the dark haze and instantly reigniting hope in the hearts of those in despair. Seeing this, Bone River Demon Sovereign and Brutal Demon Sovereign's expressions changed at the same time. Their eyes revealed a grave expression. Such a young cultivator's arrival had caused such a huge commotion. How domineering was this? Tens of millions of demon race soldiers had been shocked by his might. These two peerless powerhouses from the demon world had never seen such a scene before. Even the ruthless and arrogant Bone River Demon Sovereign had to treat this with caution. Su Fong stood in the air with his hands behind his back. The divine light in his eyes swept across the square heaven great world. Seeing that the battle had just begun and that the tragic scene he had anticipated had not occurred, Su Fong heaved a sigh of relief. However, the tragic scenes of the destroyed immortal realms he had just passed through surfaced in his mind. The hatred and fury in Su Fong's heart could burn the heavens. Fate and creation, I wield the secrets of heaven. If I am the master, all realms will bow before me. Ethereal divine light burned in Su Fong's eyes as he chanted the profundities of the Tao of fate with his nascent spirit. Life-shrinking art. Then, a purple cloud exploded from Su Fong's body, condensing into a purple cloud canopy more than 200 feet wide above his head. An astonishing aura that could wield the fortune of all things in the world soared into the sky, enveloping the tens of millions of demon race soldiers. In his fury, Su Fong directly activated his purple cloud spirit. Together with the life-shrinking art, he wanted to devour all the demon race's fortune. Su Fong's hatred reached the heavens. Although he could not kill all the demon race soldiers, he wanted all the demon race soldiers who had invaded this immortal realm to be rejected by the heavenly Tao and be afflicted with misfortune. Boom! An invisible hand of fate viciously clawed at each and every demon race and demonic Tao cultivator. On the demon race side, every demon and demon Tao cultivator felt that something extremely important to them had been forcibly taken away by the hand. They felt that a fatal calamity was about to befall them, and they were all panicking. What kind of ability is this? How can it take away our fortune? Even the two demon sovereigns had the same feeling, and their expressions changed instantly. Many cultivators of the square heaven great world roared angrily. Their auras exploded, and they took the opportunity to crush the demon race army. The demon race army's fortune had just been devoured by Su Fong, and the effect was immediate. All kinds of coincidences and misfortunes were constantly happening to the demon race equals N_1. For example, a perfectly fine demon artifact would suddenly explode. Another example was when demon chi, which had been flowing smoothly, would suddenly become obstructed for no reason and even shatter the meridians. There were also all kinds of bizarre and unimaginable misfortunes happening to the demon race and demon Tao cultivators. Drinking cold water to stuff their teeth and letting out a fart to hit their heels. This was the current portrayal of the demon race. At the same time, Su Fong released an army of 10 million corpse refinement puppets to attack the demon race from the rear. Armies of cultivators also followed from the other immortal realms. The sudden reversal of the situation was extremely unfavorable to the demon race. The demon race only worships the demon god and does not respect the heavenly Tao. Even if we have the providence of the heavenly Tao, the world has changed, and the four evil suns are in the sky. The providence of the heavenly Tao is tilting towards our devil clan. How dare a saint immortal realm cultivator attempt to devour our providence? Playing tricks. This sovereign wants to see what kind of ability you have to be able to kill man sure. As long as I kill you, this immortal realm will be at the mercy of the demon race. Demon Sovereign Bone River laughed wildly in disdain. He urged the River of Bones to surge towards Su Fong. Bone Demon. Su Fong looked at the River of Bones, and his eyes seemed to be frozen. How many cultivators and big goblin did he have to kill to refine such a river of bones? Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Su Fong separated his hands, and flying swords flew out from his palms in an endless stream. The number of flying swords reached over 100,000. Moreover, each flying sword was a low-grade Tao artifact, and not the ordinary flying swords of the past. This was the perfection of the purple cloud Dharma spirit. After the awakening of the primordial spirit, it gave Su Fong a heaven-defying ability to control Dharma treasures. The 100,000 low-grade flying swords circled around Su Fong, forming a huge samsara vortex. It was like a vast sea of flying swords. It turned out that Su Fong had also urged the power of samsara to control these flying swords. Not only did the sea of swords possess astonishing sword chi, but it also possessed the power of samsara and strangulation, making it even more powerful. Kill! Su Fonda stepped forward. The sea of swords beside him also surged forward like a surging sea. Chi! 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 The sea of swords and the river of bones collided. One by one, the white bones were ground into bone powder by the sea of swords, causing the sky to seem like it was raining white bones. The flying swords were also madly gnawed by the skulls, losing all their spirit chi and shattering. The gnawing ability of these skulls was evident. Soon, more than half of the river of bones was ground to death by the sea of swords, while the sea of swords had shrunk several times, leaving only 20 to 30,000 swords. Bone River Demon Supremacy's heart ached. These skulls were carefully refined by him over millions of years. Losing one or two was nothing, but losing hundreds of thousands at once. How could he not feel heartache? However, seeing Su Fong being suppressed, Bone River Demon Supremacy finally felt a little comforted. Who knew that in the next second? Swish! 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 Tens of thousands of flying swords were shot out by Emperor Su. They gathered with the remaining flying swords, forming a new sea of swords. So many flying swords, and such a terrifying ability to control Dharma treasures. Bone River Demon Supremacy was completely dumbfounded. Chi! 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 In an instant, tens of thousands of skulls were swallowed by the sea of swords. Bone River Demon Supremacy's heart bled as he hurriedly formed a seal to retrieve the remaining skulls. Bone Flame Devil Saber Slash. Bone River Demon Supremacy directly shot out his Bone Saber Devil weapon, releasing a monstrous, evil aura. It burned with a dense white flame and swept towards Su Fong. Boom! 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 Su Fong's flying swords were engulfed by the white bone flame. Not only did they immediately lose their spirituality, but they were also incinerated into molten iron. In just a moment, the flying swords around him became sparse. What an evil and domineering devil flame. This devil saber that could slash out bone flames was also quite extraordinary. It was on the same level as the underworld reincarnation sword, and was also a royal gray devil weapon. Flame? Su Fong raised the corner of his mouth and revealed a cold smile. In the great world, in terms of the power of flames, what kind of flame could be more domineering than the 9 sun immortal flames? He flipped his hand and took out the Fire Cloud spiritual gourd. After activating it, the 9 sun immortal flames shot out, forming a raging inferno. The two flames formed a shocking wave of fire and collided fiercely. Boom! The flames soared into the sky, causing the divine sun to lose its light. Chi! Chi! After the collision, the bone flames were incinerated layer by the 9 sun immortal flames and turned into nothingness. The 9 sun immortal flames were originally extremely domineering and could refine all evil energy. It was just right to restrain Bone River Demon Supremacy's bone flames. In the blink of an eye, the bone flames were completely refined, and the 9 sun immortal flames were also greatly diminished. However, it still swept towards Bone River Demon Supremacy. Bone River Demon Supremacy turned pale with fright. He repeatedly activated his bone saber, causing bone flames to burst out and finally wore down the 9 sun immortal flames. After continuously activating the Bone Flame Devil Saber, Bone River Demon Supremacy's white bone devil chi was also greatly depleted. His originally pale face became even paler. As expected of Emperor Su, who could kill man sure. You actually have the ability to control a Tao artifact. However, with just this alone, you want to defy the heavens? I will let you experience the demon race's supreme ability. marrow-devouring white bone hand. Bone River Demon Supremacy smiled eerily. Equals underscore our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1477. White Bone Marrow Devouring Hand. After forming the hand seal, Bone River Demon Venerable unleashed a white bone claw that was hundreds of meters long. It carried an evil and sinister aura as it enveloped Su Fong. At this moment, Su Fong's body and bones cracked as they shattered. Immediately, his bone marrow was about to break through his bones and body and be devoured by the bone claw. If it was an ordinary cultivator, their bones would shatter under such an evil divine ability. Even if they did not die, they would completely lose their ability to fight. Even an expert like Ji Xing Immortal Venerable would be affected. Bone Demon's divine ability is so strange and powerful. Su Fong's expression changed as he activated the Yellow Spring Blood Sea. Peng equals N_R. The flesh and bones under his skin all turned into blood water. Only then did the devouring power of the white bone claw disappear. Next, Su Fong activated the dragon subduing true body and unleashed the dragon race's profound yellow tyrant dragon claw under the state of blood water. Boom, boom, boom. The golden claw and the white bone claw collided, causing a huge explosion that set off fierce winds that tore the space apart. Su Fong's cultivation realm was far inferior to Bone River Demon Venerable's. His dragon's subduing true body had not matured yet, so the profound yellow tyrant dragon claw could not compete with the Demon Venerable's supreme divine ability. In the end, the golden claw shattered and the bone claw fell on his head. This venerable will suck your bone marrow dry and refine your body into a white bone puppet. Bone River Demon Venerable laughed maniacally as the white bone claw was about to land on Su Fong's body. Ka ka ka. Su Fong's body suddenly flickered with dazzling golden lightning. His body also started to grow rapidly. The power of the Yin-Yang world exploded, emitting a shocking divinity. A golden robe appeared around his body. There was an ancient, familiar, and unfamiliar pure yang aura, as well as mysterious golden Tao marks. In an instant, Su Fong turned into a mighty war god. Chi! The white bone claw fell on Su Fong's body. The golden runes on the indestructible golden body flickered. Not only did Su Fong withstand this fierce attack, his body was unscathed. A divine golden light burst out and shattered the claw. Clang clang. After forming the hand seals, Su Fong unleashed his Herculean divine palms, sending out two gigantic golden palms towards Bone River Overlord. What kind of physical body divine ability is this? Divine level cultivation technique. This must be a divine level cultivation technique. Sensing the Herculean divine palm, the Bone River Overlord's eyes were filled with fear. Only a true god could possess such supreme divine might. Boom! Demon Sovereign Bone River was sent flying like a fly. Cracking sounds came from his body. Who knew how many bones had been shattered by Su Fong's strike? 2 slaps had sent a demon venerable expert flying. How shocking was this scene? Whether it was the devil race, immortal Tao cultivators, or the big goblin, all of them were shaken, turning into pieces of wood. Su Fong took the opportunity to attack, engaging in close combat with Bone River Demon Venerable. Boom! Boom! Bone River Demon Venerable was like a child being trampled on by a muscular man. He was forced to retreat as the bones in his body cracked and shattered. What a terrifying physical ability! Bone River Demon Venerable was shocked by Su Fong's endless divine abilities. After a series of crackling sounds, Bone River Demon Venerable's body grew crazily. In the end, he turned into a skeleton without any flesh. His body was emitting white flames, and he was more than 500 feet tall. He was much taller than Su Fong. The two giants, one with a divine and mighty aura, and the other with monstrous devil flames, engaged in an earth-shattering close combat in the sky. Their power shook the heavens. Su Fong's gigantified diamond body was ferocious and domineering. At the same time, it was filled with a masculine aura. It had an innate ability to suppress the power of the devil race. Bone River Demon Venerable had transformed into his bone devil form, but he was still at an absolute disadvantage. He was forced to retreat, and his white bone flames were also suppressed to the point of death. Bone River Demon Venerable was shocked and furious. He roared at Savage Demon Venerable. Savage, do you really intend to continue watching? The ancestral devil of your savage race is on this person. Don't you want to take it back? Kill Su Fong first. At this point, Savage Demon Venerable had no choice but to join the battle. As Su Fong retreated rapidly, he withdrew from his gigantified state and returned to his normal state. Although the gigantified diamond body's power was unparalleled, its consumption was proportional. It could not be maintained for too long. The battle just now had already made him pale, and he was panting. He felt weak all over. Two demon venerables working together to deal with a sage immortal cultivator. The devil race is so shameless. Emperor Su is in danger now. The situation suddenly turned against Su Fong, and the immortal Dao side started to worry for Su Fong. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The undead lord, Vermilion Emperor, and Gue Gay were released by Su Fong. Su Fong, also summoned by Ling Su Fong, said coldly, "I'll leave that demon venerable to you." Bai Ling and Vermilion Emperor had both become demon emperors. One had the Chaos Ring, while the other was an ancient beast. Even if they could not fight the demon venerable head-on, they could restrain him from the side. Gue was poisonous and had the demonic corrosive poison that was fatal to the devil race. In addition, she cultivated the Yellow Spring Blood Sea and could use the Yellow Spring Reincarnation Sword. She could also pose a considerable threat to the demon venerable. The most important thing was still the undead lord. Not only was he a genuine immortal venerable, but his cultivation level had not fully recovered to the level of the number 1 expert of the evil Dao. His realm in the Dao of Death was unparalleled. With the sky-shrouding underworld coffin, even if the undead lord could not fight against Savage Demon Venerable, with the help of Bai Ling, Vermilion Emperor, and Gue Gay, it would not be a problem to tie down Savage Demon Venerable. I finally have a chance to exercise my muscles. Old devil, watch how this fairy will deal with you. Bai Ling let out a joyful laugh. His body drew a strange arc as he turned into a white light and charged towards Savage Demon Venerable. This emperor actually has the chance to fight against a demon venerable. Even if I die, it will be worth it. Kiki, Vermilion Emperor let out an evil laugh as monstrous demon chi burst out. He turned into his demon body and charged towards Savage Demon Venerable. On the other hand, the undead lord used the sky-shrouding underworld coffin to create a world of death. Then he used his Death Divine ability to attack Savage Demon Venerable. You actually have so many experts under your command? No wonder you could kill Manshur. I know you have an immortal venerable expert by your side, who can use immortal demon divine ability at the same time. Why did you bring him out? Savage Demon Venerable's deep eyes revealed a serious expression. He doesn't need to do anything to deal with you, Su Fong said coldly. It was impossible to tell the depth of his voice. The immortal demon monster's physical body had not recovered yet. His second primordial spirit had other uses. Naturally, he could not participate in such a battle. Savage Demon Venerable used the great barbaric demon god palm of the Man clan to fight against the undead lord. Because he was wary of the immortal demon monster, Savage Demon Venerable only used half of his strength to fight against the undead lord. Do you think I can't kill you without Savage Yin's help? From the looks of it, you're already an arrow at the end of its flight. That divine ability you used just now must have exhausted all of your strength, right? Bone River Demon Venerable was still in his bone demon form. After a sinister smile, he pounced at Su Fong. This bone demon is extremely powerful. He's much more difficult to deal with than Demon Venerable Manshur. Su Fong raised his eyebrows and turned around to charge at the Devil Race army. He actually looked like he was running away without a fight. Whoosh! While flying through the air, Su Fong's physical body suddenly shattered and turned into a shocking sea of blood that fell into the Devil Race army. Blood tumbled. Wherever it swept through, the bodies of the demon race cultivators were corroded and swallowed up. Then, they quickly turned into life energy that quickly replenished the energy he had used just now. Even the devil chi in the bodies of the devil race cultivators was refined by Su Fong's nine-yang power and replenished his golden core origin. At this moment, Su Fong was even more sinister and terrifying than the devil race experts. The devil race army's luck had been devoured by Su Fong. Then, under the attacks of the Square Heaven Great World's army and the Corpse Refinery Puppet Army, they were already struggling to hold on. Now that Su Fong had devoured them so crazily, the morale of the devil race army was instantly thrown into chaos, and they showed signs of defeat. Su Fong, you're truly despicable. If you have the guts, fight me head-on. Bone River Demon Venerable roared furiously. Su Fong mocked back. If you have the guts, suppress your cultivation to the sage, immortal realm. Then, I'll naturally fight you. Hateful human cultivator, when I catch you, I'll definitely make you wish you were dead. Bone River Demon Venerable was so angry that his eyes spewed out bone flames. He chased after Su Fong into the midst of the devil race army. The devil race army became even more chaotic and had already been utterly defeated. When the true chi and life energy that he had used up recovered, Su Fong reformed his physical body. When he looked back, Bone River Demon Venerable was already 1,000 feet away from him. Your time has come. Su Fong's eyes were filled with killing intent as he smiled eerily. Suddenly, Su Fong changed his direction and went straight for the Square Heaven Great World's cultivators. Come here. Then, with a wave of his hand, the million subordinate commanders and cultivators were sucked into the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. The next moment, Su Fong turned around and took large strides toward Bone River Demon Venerable, who was hot on his heels. Courting death equals N_1! Exclamation point. After a moment of surprise, Bone River Demon Venerable couldn't help but be pleasantly surprised. He laughed maniacally as his entire body burned with bone flames. Like a monster, he pounced towards Su Fong. Natal form. In an instant, the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda was activated, and its divine power immediately entered Su Fong's flesh and true chi. The million subordinate experts also quickly entered battle mode. They injected their magic power and true chi into the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. Then, through the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda, they merged with the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda and seeped into Su Fong's flesh and true chi. It was done in one go in an instant. Nine Nether Heaven Covering Hand, go! A mighty figure shot out from Su Fong's eyes and instantly formed a finger seal. It swept across the sky with peerless sharpness and sharpness. It carried an unstoppable aura as it grabbed towards the Bone River Demon Venerable. The Nine Nether Heaven Covering Hand, which was executed in his natal form, was only at the limit of a sane immortal. It was even stronger than an early-stage immortal venerable. The claw seal covered the sky and shattered the world, a supreme ability of the devil race. Such a powerful Nine Nether Heaven Covering Hand is almost at the level of the devil race's higher-ups. How is this possible? Bone River Demon Venerable's burning eyes were filled with shock and horror. Boom! Bone River Demon Venerable's momentum was shattered. Countless bones in his body were also shattered by the claw seal. Su Fong's fatal attack came one after another. Whoosh! A Pearl Dao artifact was shot out by Su Fong. It exploded with a rainbow-colored Xianguang and enveloped Bone River Demon Venerable. Dark Valley Origin Pearl. Bone River Demon Venerable, who had not recovered from the severe injuries of the Nine Nether Heaven Covering Hand after receiving the primordial spirit attack from the Dark Valley Origin Pearl, staggered. Bone River Demon Venerable was indeed an old demon who had lived for tens of millions of years. He immediately recognized the primordial spirit type Dark Valley Origin Pearl and was instantly shocked. This was not Su Fong's true attack. Whoosh! A black Xianguang shot out from the Dark Valley Origin Pearl and hit the back of Bone River Demon Venerable's head. It caused his bones to vibrate. Immediately after, a sharp primordial spirit sword chi attacked Bone River Demon Venerable's divine aperture violently. This demon was extremely ferocious. After receiving the consecutive attacks from the Dark Valley Origin Pearl and the second primordial spirit, his divine aperture's defense actually lasted for a moment before it was broken by the second primordial spirit. Bone River Demon Venerable had no choice but to fight with the second primordial spirit in his divine aperture. He could not care about the outside world. At this moment, Su Fong took out the Dark Valley Lightning Archive. Only then did he execute the fatal attack. As for the issue of the update time, I have already explained it in the first chapter yesterday. Some readers may not have seen it. Let me say again, the update will be at 11 o'clock. In the past, there will be 3 updates. Now, there will be 3 updates consecutively. At the beginning, some readers may find it inconvenient. Dukan apologizes. No matter what, it is to make it more enjoyable for you. Download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1478. Lightning bolts shot out rapidly. At this critical moment, the second primordial spirit shot out of Bone River Demon Venerable's divine aperture and entered the Dark Valley Origin Pearl. It controlled the Dharma treasure to fly out with a whoosh. With a terrifying aura that could shatter the void, Bone River Demon Venerable did not have any time to react when it hit his White Bone Demon Venerable. It was instantly drowned in lightning. Space, time, and everything in the world went silent for a moment. Boom! Only then did the thunderous roar that shook the heavens resound. The terrifying lightning elemental divine might affected all the demons within 100 miles. The demons below the Demon Emperor's strength were either shattered or turned into ashes. When the lightning dissipated, Bone River Demon Venerable appeared. His bones had turned grayish-white as if they had been burned by fire. They no longer had the evil white bone demon chi and demon flames. Dark Profound Lightning Archive. Bone River Demon Venerable said intermittently, his voice filled with unwillingness and fear. The next moment, crack, crack, crack. The skeleton that was more than 500 feet tall shattered again and again like a collapsing building block. In the end, it collapsed and turned into fragments and ashes. The only thing that was still intact was Bone River Demon Venerable's giant skull. It actually soared into the sky and tried to escape. Can you escape? Su Fong sneered. He took a step forward and grabbed the skull. Then the 9 suns' immortal fire surged out of his palm. The remnant consciousness of Bone River Demon Venerable in the skull was completely refined by the fire elemental divine might. A peerless bone demon had fallen just like that. The sky above the square Heaven Great World was deathly silent. You actually killed Bone River Demon Venerable. Brutal Demon Venerable roared in shock and anger. Can I kill this Bone River Demon Venerable? Su Fong sneered. The divine light in his eyes swept past Brutal Demon Venerable and the army of demons. Wherever his gaze landed, it was as if Su Fong's eyes contained a fatal divine power. The tens of millions of demons actually collectively retreated. Their eyes were filled with fear. Even Brutal Demon Venerable shuddered. His heart was filled with fear. It's not just this bone devil. All the devil race and devil Tao cultivators who invade this immortal realm must die. I will use your demon blood to wash away my hatred. I will use your souls to comfort the countless beings that have died in your hands. Su Fong's voice, full of killing intent, reverberated above the Xing River, overbearing and murderous. Whoosh! Bone River Demon Venerable skull was sent high into the sky by Su Fong. Then, he used a divine ability to shackle it and make it float there. Kill, kill, kill. Su Fong had ignited the hatred in the hearts of the cultivators of the square Heaven Great World, the Big Goblin, and the army of immortals from other immortal realms. They roared furiously, their voices shaking the galaxy and changing the color of the sky. Many cultivators gritted their teeth, their eyes bleeding. The enmity between the immortal Tao and the devil realm had been passed down from generation to generation. The two races had long been irreconcilable. The immortal Tao cultivators had long heard of the evil and cruelty of the devil race. Ever since the devil venerables invaded this immortal realm, The immortal Tao cultivators finally experienced what true evil and cruelty were. Their hatred for the devil race could only be completely washed away with their blood. The tens of millions of devil race soldiers were intimidated by the immortal Tao's momentum. They no longer had the ferocity they had when they slaughtered the immortal realms. They kept shrinking towards brutal demon venerable. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Bai Ling, Zhu Huang, Gue, and the undead lord had been summoned back by Su Fong. They would soon face the devil race's dying counterattack. It was not worthwhile to let them continue to take the risk. The vast army of cultivators gathered behind Su Fong. Su Fong stood with his hands behind his back. His figure was not very tall, but in everyone's eyes, he was as majestic as a mountain that could hold up the sky. No, the heavenly Tao was heartless. The heavens were already dead. In their hearts, Su Fong was their sky. After a moment of panic, the devil race regrouped and prepared for a final, frenzied counterattack. The great battle was imminent. Emperor Su, brutal demon venerable, suddenly flew out and left the devil race's army. He stood 10 miles away from Su Fong. "What's wrong, Lord Demon Venerable? Are you thinking of surrendering?" Su Fong mocked. Brutal demon venerable said proudly, "There are only devils who die in battle. There are no devils who surrender." Besides, Bone River Demon Venerable led the devil race's army and slaughtered more than a dozen immortal realms. "Will you accept the devil race's surrender? What do you want?" "Although the devil race's army is at a disadvantage right now, you will have to pay a heavy price if you want to kill all of us." Xian Tian shouted coldly. "As long as we can kill all of you, we won't hesitate to die in battle. This venerable believes in your determination and courage. You also have the ability to kill all of us. But so what?" Brutal demon venerable smiled sinisterly as he spoke. "Su Fong, there's no harm in telling you the truth. Due to the devil world's strength, the #1 faction of the great world, the Heaven's Mandate Bright Sect, has reached an agreement with the devil world. They will sacrifice the 10 Directions immortal realms in exchange for a truce between the immortal Tao and the devil world. Moreover, this venerable was able to travel from the devil world to the 10 Directions immortal realms in such a short time because of the Heaven's Mandate Bright Sect's spatial formation. Heaven's Mandate Bright Sect equals N_R. Su Fong's eyes flickered and his heart sank to the bottom. After the Great War, the devil race suffered great losses and withdrew from the immortal Tao world. They hid in some dark great worlds. With the help of the changes in the world, the devil race's overall strength skyrocketed. However, there was still a large gap between them and the immortal Tao world. Now, the Heaven's Mandate Bright Sect had signed such an agreement with the devil race and buried the 10 Directions immortal realms in their hands. With the resources of the 10 Directions immortal realms, the devil race would rapidly recover in less than 100,000 years. At that time, who would be able to stop the devil race's army? The Heaven's Mandate Bright Sect was nurturing a tiger and inviting calamity. The day of the immortal Tao world's destruction was not far away. Savage continued. This 10 Directions immortal realms is but a desolate immortal realm in the corner of the great world. No matter how heaven-defying you are, do you think you can contend against the entire devil world? Su Fong said coldly. At the very least, I, Su Fong, won't do such a shameless and foolish thing as the Heaven's Mandate Bright Sect. The situation in the great world is already like this. Your Excellency Emperor, Su wouldn't be willing to fight against the entire devil world, would you? Therefore, this venerable wants to make a fair deal with you. A deal? That's right. As long as Su Fong returns my man clan's ancestral devil, the barbaric god overlord, to this venerable and allows this venerable to lead the devil race's army out of the 10 Directions immortal realms. This venerable can swear that the devil race's army will never set foot in this 10 Directions immortal realms again. At this time, the lives of tens of millions of devil race soldiers, including Savage Overlord, were in Su Fong's hands. The fact that Savage Overlord was still so domineering showed just how arrogant the devil race was. What a fair deal. Su Fong laughed loudly. Following that, Su Fong mocked, using a peak devil race expert, a devil overlord, and tens of millions of devil race soldiers in exchange for an empty promise. This is your fair deal? Do you think that I, Su Fong, am an idiot? Or are you an idiot to begin with? This venerable is willing to swear an oath to the devil god in the name of the devil race's man clan. This is definitely not an empty promise. The man clan's ancestral devil is an important figure in the devil race. Now that he is in your hands, if you kill him, the man clan will not rest until you are dead. Furthermore, the ancestral devil will not be able to maintain his dormant state, even if he uses a dormant technique. By holding the ancestral devil in your hands, not only will it not bring you any benefits, but it will also bring you endless calamity. Furthermore, it will be meaningless if you kill all of us. In exchange for peace in this 10 directions immortal realms, you will be taking advantage of everything. Su Fong was about to speak when the voice of an essence spirit came from the blood jade in Luo's body, Su Fong. Su Fong immediately peeled off a young immortal and entered the blood jade in the depths of his body. Luo, what do you think? I'm only giving you some suggestions. The decision is up to you. I will not interfere. Speak. The devil race does not respect the heavenly Tao, but respects the devil god. By swearing an oath to the devil god, the devil race will not dare to go against it. Otherwise, the oath will come true. The Man clan is one of the 12 great devil clans. Their overall strength is extremely strong, and there are many experts in the clan. Devil Overlord Brutal Een should be a high-ranking member of the Man clan. If he swears an oath to the devil god in the name of the entire clan, it will be very credible. Just as this devil overlord said, Devil Overlord Brutal God will not bring you any benefits in your hands. Instead, it will bring you endless trouble. Why don't you use him for the transaction? Hee, you are extremely cunning. Previously, you let your second primordial spirit secretly control his primordial spirit consciousness. This means that you have a peerless expert hiding in the devil race. In the future, you will definitely have an all-out war with the devil world. With such a peak expert of the devil race as a spy, it will definitely be of great use. Luo said slowly. Luo, thank you for your reminder. I know what to do. Su Fong ended his conversation with Luo. The young immortal left the blood jade. After a moment of silence, Su Fong suddenly asked, How can you be sure that Devil Overlord Brutal God has not been killed by me? Devil Overlord Brutal Een said proudly. How can you guess the divine powers of the devil race? If an ancestral devil has died, the clan will naturally sense it through the divine powers. If not, why would I need to travel through countless great worlds from the devil world to this desolate, immortal domain? Su Fong said firmly, I can agree to the transaction with you, but the conditions need to be changed. Seeing that Su Fong was no longer so determined, Devil Overlord Brutal Een secretly heaved a sigh of relief and said, What other conditions do you have? I can return Devil Overlord Brutal God to you, and you can also leave this immortal domain, but at this point, Su Fong looked at the devil race army with cold eyes. Which one of these devil race's hands are not stained with the blood of the cultivators of this immortal domain? You can leave, but all of them must stay. Su Fong said resolutely and decisively. His clanging voice revealed an incomparably domineering aura. The devil race army immediately went into an uproar. Impossible. Devil Overlord Brutal Een said decisively. I came to this immortal domain with the mission of taking away the ancestral devil and the devil race army. It is impossible for me to leave them behind. You killed my Man clan's expert, Devil Overlord Brutal Een, and this time you killed Gu He. Is it not enough to eliminate the hatred in your heart? It is far from enough. Since you said so, then there is nothing to talk about. Su Fong said indifferently. Devil Overlord Brutal Een threatened. Su Fong, are you going to force the devil race to sign the agreement under the city with you? So what? Su Fong revealed the domineering aura of an overlord of the immortal domain. Seeing Su Fong's unyielding attitude, Devil Overlord Brutal Een secretly cursed Devil Overlord Gu He and fell into a dilemma. Suddenly, Devil Overlord Brutal Yin's eyes flashed when he saw the 9 netherworld godly devil spikes in the sky. He suddenly had an idea and said, I can pull out the remaining 5 netherworld godly devil spikes and solve the problem for you. You should be satisfied with such a condition, right? 9 netherworld godly devil spikes? You don't need to worry. I have a way to remove them. Su Fong smiled disdainfully. He suddenly flew into the sky and arrived in front of one of the 9 netherworld godly devil spikes. =_our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1479. The 9 netherworld godly devil nail is a supreme divine rank devil weapon of the devil race. It's made from the bones of the devil god. Once it's activated, no one in the outside world can remove it unless the experts of the devil race cast a forbidden technique. Even a peak immortal venerable wouldn't be able to do it. Mang Yin Archdevil's face was full of arrogance and disdain. Is that so? Su Fong's lips curled up into a smile. In the next moment, Su Fong pushed the purple Chi Dharma spirit to the extreme and released the origin spirit of the purple Chi Dharma spirit. A purple light swept out and wrapped around the 9 netherworld godly devil nail that was nailed to the void. Wung, 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 the part of the 9 netherworld godly devil nail that was exposed to the void trembled violently. It seemed to be very frightened and kept struggling. The stalemate lasted for a dozen breaths. The purple Xin Guang suddenly became stronger, and a dark demonic light was extracted from the 9 netherworld godly devil nail. The artifact spirit of the divine rank devil weapon was forcefully sucked out of the devil artifact, and then devoured by the origin spirit of the purple Chi Dharma spirit. When the origin spirit returned to Su Fong's body, he felt that he had grown stronger after devouring the artifact spirit of the 9 netherworld godly devil nail. The artifact spirit of a divine rank devil weapon was indeed extraordinary. Destiny is the creation of the heavens. If I want it, the heavens must have it. If I want it, the heavens must have it. Su Fong used the life-shrinking technique and displayed the supreme ability to seize the karma of others by force. However, this time, he wasn't going to seize the karma of the cultivator, the big goblin, or the devil race, but a divine rank devil weapon. Without its artifact spirit, the 9 netherworld godly devil nail's power was reduced to the extreme. Moreover, how powerful was Su Fong's life-shrinking technique? Whoosh! It was as if an invisible hand had suddenly descended from the void. The 9 nether god devil spike shot out of the void with a whoosh, and Su Fong caught it and put it into the primal chaos godly mirror. After doing all this, Su Fong's head was covered in a layer of grayish white. Using the heavenly secret life shrinking technique to snatch a divine magic weapon was not a small loss. How is this possible? That's a divine grade magic tool. How is that possible? Brutal Demon Venerable was shocked. He could not believe it. Tens of millions of demons, immortal Tao cultivators, and the big goblin were dumbfounded. Their minds buzzed. To be able to suppress a divine grade demonic artifact, what kind of heaven-defying ability was this? That was something that even a peak immortal venerable couldn't achieve. In an instant, in everyone's eyes, Su Fong had become incomparably unfathomable, as if he was a deity from the myriad realms. Phew, Su Fong flew to another 9 Serenity's God Devil Nail. Using the same method, he suppressed this God Devil Nail again. At this time, only 3 God Devil Nails were left in the void. The divine grade demonic artifact's power had been weakened to the extreme. In an instant, the 9 Serenity's God Devil Nail's evil aura had become so weak that it was almost negligible. Before this, the Immortals and Big Goblin in the immortal realm had been losing their life force. Although it was very weak, it could still be sensed. But now, the evil power that had been constantly devouring life force had disappeared without a trace. It was like a rope that had been strangling their necks and threatening their lives had suddenly been taken away. Master is mighty. Emperor Su is mighty. The immortal Tao cultivators let out earth-shattering cheers. At this time, they wanted to worship Su Fong as a deity. Brutal demon venerables' eyes were filled with incomparable shock and horror, and even some fear. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The remaining 3 god devil nails were much easier to deal with. However, Su Fong also paid a heavy price for this. Most of his hair had turned white, and his appearance had turned into that of an old man in his 50s or 60s. Su Fong took out a handful of King Grey pills and Yin Yang Immortal Sky pills and swallowed them. The flesh and bones under his skin immediately collapsed and turned into the Yellow Springs Blood Sea state, which crazily devoured and refined the pills. At the same time, Su Fong activated his Black Lotus True Body and Dragon-subduing True Body to rapidly recover his life force. When Su Fong slowly flew down from the sky, his hair had turned white in a dozen breaths' time. His age had also returned to being in his early 40s, and he was still recovering. Such a scene once again sent everyone into a state of intense shock. Life force was also lifespan. The goal of a cultivator's cultivation was to become immortal and have an eternal lifespan. However, how many people could truly achieve this? It was clear how precious life force was to a cultivator. Which cultivator didn't do all they could to extend their lifespan? They would never do anything that damaged their life force unless it was a matter of life and death. There were many ways to make up for the loss of true chi, but there weren't many ways to make up for the loss of lifespan. At this moment, Su Fong's life force had actually recovered so quickly in such a short period of time. This was naturally extremely shocking. This person actually has the ability to rapidly recover his life force. This is simply heaven-defying. Brutal demon venerable's heart was in a complete mess, as if 10,000 horses were galloping in his heart. Then, he had a faint premonition that if this person wasn't eliminated as soon as possible, he would become a powerful enemy that would endanger the survival of the entire demon race. Su Fong had used his heaven-defying ability to remove the 9 nether demon god nail and completely intimidated brutal demon venerable. He also dispelled any thoughts of continuing to bargain with Su Fong. The conditions I just proposed are already my bottom line. There is no room for negotiation. I'll give you 10 breaths time to choose. Su Fong directly gave brutal demon venerable an ultimatum. He was extremely domineering and overbearing. 10 breaths time passed in the blink of an eye. However, to brutal demon venerable, it felt like a million years had passed. Huff, brutal demon venerable exhaled deeply and spat out 2 words with difficulty. Deal. Lord Demon Venerable, how can you do this? The demon race has never surrendered. Lord Demon Venerable, how can you sacrifice tens of millions of demon race soldiers? There are only demon race soldiers who die in battle. There is no one who surrenders. How can the descendants of a demon god surrender to immortal Dao ants? Fight them to the death. The demon race army immediately erupted in discontent. In the end, it turned into angry and unwilling roars. Then there was chaos. Some charged towards the immortal Dao, while others quietly slipped away. Brutal Demon Venerable said in a cold and imposing voice, "All demon race and demon Dao cultivators, give up resistance and allow Su Fong to deal with you. Those who don't follow this Venerable's orders die. Their families and clans will all be killed." The demon race army immediately quieted down. The demon race had a strict hierarchy. Those who dared to defy the will of a high-level demon race expert would not only be punished, but also their families and clans would be thoroughly wiped out. Brutal Demon Venerable came under the orders of the demon race's upper echelons. Moreover, he was a demon venerable. Naturally, he had the authority to deal with them this way. For their families and clans, who dared to defy brutal Demon Venerable's orders. Nearly 30 million demon race soldiers and tens of millions of demon Dao cultivators from the demon realm fell into complete despair. Before this, the immortal Dao cultivators were the ones in despair. Meanwhile, they were the ones slaughtering wantonly. Now both sides had completely swapped positions. Demon God above, I swear in the name of the man race that the demon race will never take a single step into this immortal domain. If we violate this oath, We are willing to bear the wrath of the demon god and have our entire race annihilated. Brutal lean demon Venerable knelt down and swore to the sky. Chi. Then he flicked out a drop of demon blood. As soon as he finished speaking, a beam of demon light descended from the sky and fell into the drop of demon blood. It condensed into a black pearl. Throwing the pearl to Su Fong, Brutal Ink Demon Venerable shouted coldly, "This is the blood oath demon pearl. If the demon race violates this oath, you only need to crush this pearl and the oath will be fulfilled. Now you should be satisfied, right? Why aren't you handing over my man race's ancestral devil?" Seeing this demon venerable being so straightforward, Su Fong was a little worried. She secretly asked Law, who was in the blood jade, "Law, could this be a trap?" Law mocked. Although the demon race is cruel and evil, they are very serious about their promises. Moreover, this is an oath to the demon god. How can there be a trap? Do you think everyone is as cunning as you? Su Fong said innocently, "I've always been honest and considerate, okay? It's only after I met you that I changed like this." Cough, cough. Law almost choked and coughed continuously. Demon Venerable Barbarian God is a peak expert of the demon race in the ancient era. At the same time, he is the ancestral devil of the man race. He must be very important to the man race. The demon race has a total of 12 major races. The competition between them is also very intense. Without Demon Venerable Barbarian God, the man race's strength will definitely plummet. They might even be swallowed up by other races. In order to save Demon Venerable Barbarian God, it is understandable that Brutal Ink Demon Venerable sacrificed tens of millions of demon race soldiers. Law's words made Su Fong feel relieved. Here, he took out the coffin that Demon Venerable Barbarian God was sleeping in and gave it to Brutal Ink Demon Venerable. After careful inspection, Brutal Ink Demon Venerable heaved a sigh of relief when he could not find any abnormalities with Demon Venerable Barbarian God. How could he know that although Demon Venerable Barbarian God was in a dormant state, his consciousness was controlled by Su Fong's second primordial spirit using Night Demon's method of controlling primordial spirit consciousness? He was no longer the ancestral devil of the man race. Brutal Ink Demon Venerable kept the coffin and said eerily, "Su Fong, this Venerable's devil oath is only limited to this immortal domain. I advise you not to leave this immortal domain. Otherwise, if you meet this Venerable or other demon race experts, don't blame me for not following the oath and killing you. The great world is so big that I, Su Fong, can roam freely. What can the demon race do? Let me advise you instead, don't meet me again. By then, you won't be as lucky as this time." Su Fong mocked back in a domineering manner. "Oomph." Brutal Ink Demon Venerable snorted and took a step forward, disappearing into the void. From the beginning to the end, he did not look at the tens of millions of demon race experts. The demon race's coldness was not only towards the immortal Tao, but also towards their own race. Looking at the demon race army, Su Fong's eyes instantly froze. He said coldly, "Dead Lord, suppress them all." Yes. After the Dead Lord formed a seal, he activated the heaven-shrouding nether coffin and turned it upside down above the tens of millions of demon race experts. The coffin's lid slid open and a monstrous death chi gushed out like a flood, enveloping all the demon race experts. There was no lack of demon emperor experts in the demon race army, but none of them could contend against an immortal venerable expert. In the face of an immortal venerable expert like the Dead Lord and the heaven-shrouding nether coffin, the demon race experts had no power to resist at all. Coupled with the fact that they had lost their will to resist, they were all sucked into the heaven-shrouding nether coffin. Xian Yintian asked, "Su Fong, how should we deal with these demon race experts?" Bai Ling said angrily, "What else can we do? Kill them all." "Kill them all? That's too easy for them. Their hands are stained with the blood of immortal Tao cultivators, and they have devoured countless living beings. Let them slowly repay it with all their strength." Su Fong's voice was filled with coldness and killing intent. == Our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1480. The calamity that had almost destroyed the immortal realm was finally over. The people who had survived the calamity cheered and jumped for joy, reveling in excitement. Su Fong quietly left and returned to the Square Heaven Great Realm to visit his father and minor world heavyweights. He was relieved to see that they were all safe and sound. Su Fong then visited all of the immortal realms. First, the 9 netherworld god and demon spikes had devoured large amounts of life energy. Although Su Fong had restrained them with his supreme combat arts, the damage the immortal realm had suffered couldn't be recovered overnight. Then, the demons had destroyed nearly 20 immortal realms, turning them into wastelands. Su Fong didn't feel the slightest bit of joy at the destruction of the demonic army. Instead, his heart was heavy. Next, it was time to deal with the aftermath. Su Fong first repaired the world barrier and the boundaries of the immortal realms. With his current strength and the might of the purple chi spirit, he pushed the demon-sealing heavenly seal's power to the limit. The world barrier and boundaries he created were even sturdier than before. Next, it was time to take care of the suppressed demons. Kill them all? Death was a kind of release for these demons who had a blood debt. Su Fong naturally wouldn't do that. He had the Dead Lord set up a spirit-devouring formation in the Square Heaven Great Realm and all of the immortal realms. Of course, he didn't use the formation to devour the life energy of the immortal realms. Millions of demons and demonic cultivators were shackled in each formation. Once the formation was activated, it would continuously devour their life energy. However, it wouldn't take their lives immediately. Instead, it would slowly devour them. If they wanted to live, they would have to cultivate with all their might to extend their lives. As long as these demons didn't die, the spirit-devouring formation would continuously devour their life energy. At the same time, Su Fong connected the formation to the world essences of the immortal realms. The life energy devoured by the formation would be continuously injected into the world essences and then released into the immortal realms. This way, the life energy devoured by the immortal realms would slowly recover. This was the Su Fong's punishment for invading demons. It was cold and cruel. However, no one thought that there was anything wrong with Su Fong's methods. Instead, they praised Su Fong's methods. Even the Runjian Manor, which had always prided itself on being righteous, applauded and applauded. Supreme Lord Lang Shao even took the opportunity to unreservedly advocate Su Fong's benevolence. Compared to the demon's slaughter of the immortals, any cruel methods were nothing. After dealing with the demons, Su Fong prepared to leave this immortal domain. There was a piece of blood jade in the hands of an immortal venerable of the heavenly mandate Hao Tsang sect. He had to get it no matter what. Fairy Xuanxin had been forcibly taken away by Fairy Frozen Dream. Although she had become her disciple, Fairy Frozen Dream clearly had ulterior motives. Su Fong had to rescue Fairy Xuanxin. More importantly, the calamity would become more and more intense. To ensure the safety of this immortal domain, Su Fong's strength was far from enough. He urgently needed to increase his strength as soon as possible. And, staying in this immortal realm, there was practically not much room for growth. Before leaving, Su Fong naturally had to make thorough arrangements. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to leave with peace of mind. True Dragon Realm. In the palace, Dugamujian, old monster Zhu Tian, old immortal withered Rong, Li Haojia, the Lord of 5 Poisons, and Su Fong's powerful big goblin and cultivators were all gathered here. Everyone had already guessed Su Fong's decision. Their expressions were very solemn. Su Fong said, "I have already decided. After settling the matters in this immortal domain, I will prepare to leave and go to another immortal domain. I respect your decision whether you want to go or stay." Dugamujian cupped his fists towards Su Fong. He revealed a bleak expression and said, "Su Fong, I have decided to stay in the Square Heaven Great World." Su Fong wasn't surprised that Dugamujian had decided to stay. His wife had died tragically in the hands of demonic Emperor Crimson Mantis. Now that he had gotten his revenge, his wish had been fulfilled. In addition, He had been heavily injured by a demonic race expert and lost an arm. He was somewhat disheartened and didn't have the mood to continue traveling. Old immortal withered roan glanced at Su Fong. He looked like he wanted to say something, but stopped. Although he had broken through the shackles of cultivation with Su Fong's help, he didn't have much hope in cultivation anymore. He wanted to stay and spend the rest of his life peacefully. Su Fong nodded and said, Dugamujian, an old immortal withered roan will stay. With you guys overseeing the square heaven great world, I will be at ease. However, not many others were willing to stay. Bai Ling, Zhu Huang, and the other powerful big goblin. Naturally, they would follow wherever Su Fong went. Li Haojia and the Lord of Five Poisons had long wanted to leave this immortal domain to train outside. Old immortal Peng Hua and old monster Zhu Tian came from other immortal domains. They also wanted to return to their hometowns to take a look. As for the other subordinates, such as Monk Shangde, the Ghost Owl's Five Freaks, Mao Chang, Tung Ba, and the other big goblins, they knew that following Su Fong would bring them countless benefits. They might even have a chance to become an immortal emperor or even an immortal venerable. Naturally, they were determined to follow Su Fong. After deciding to stay, Su Fong began to prepare for his departure. On this day, Su Fong arrived in the sky above the square heaven great world. Looking down at the great world's territory, the constellation of 9 heavens, and the clear sky's myriad scroll door, as well as the 5 small worlds, Su Fong's eyes revealed a decisive and resolute look. World origin come. Su Fong activated the ethereal myriad Tao and directly summoned the world's origin of the square heaven great world. It gathered in the sky to form a dazzling galaxy. The creation of destiny, the master of heaven's secrets. If I am the master, all the worlds will submit to me. I am the overlord. My will surpasses the heavens. With my will, Su Fong, I bestow the square heaven great world with supreme fortune. In the name of the supreme dragon god, anyone who attacks the square heaven great world, regardless of whether they are cultivators, demons, big goblin, or resurrected experts, will definitely suffer misfortune and calamity. Su Fong activated the purple cloud Dharma spirit, together with the life shrinking technique, and then used the Overlord's mantra to bestow supreme fortune on the square heaven great world. At the same time, he also left behind a curse with the curse of the dragon god. Any cultivators, demons, big goblin, and resurrected experts who attacked the square heaven great world would suffer from the power of the curse. After the purple cloud Dharma spirit devoured the weapon spirits of the 5-9 Serenity's demon god nails, it transformed once again on a perfect foundation. The power it brought to Su Fong also increased by several times. At this time, Su Fong used the purple cloud Dharma spirit as the main force to perform the life shrinking technique and various other divine abilities to bestow upon the square heaven great world. This gave the square heaven great world the supreme fortune that could dispel misfortune and turn misfortune into good fortune. Moreover, the power of the curse of the dragon god would cause an intense backlash as long as an enemy attacked the square heaven great world. Even a peerless, immortal, venerable expert like the Bone River Demon Venerable could not bear it. After all this was done, Su Fong's hair was already white, like a dying old man. For the sake of the square heaven great world, especially his father, clansmen, and friends in the mortal emperor world, Su Fong paid a heavy price. Although he had the means to recover his life force, how many people could watch their own life force slip away without doing anything? As for the other immortal realms, Su Fong could not do anything even if he wanted to. He could only resign himself to fate. In the next 100 years, Su Fong stayed in the mortal emperor world to accompany his father, Su Yaotian, and spent the most peaceful and down-to-earth 100 years of his life. During this period, Su Fong also approached Xiao Mei every day. However, Xiao Mei was the same as before. She always rejected Su Fong, which made Su Fong very sad. On this day, an uninvited guest came to the square heaven great world to visit Su Fong. Su Fong left the mortal emperor world, passed through the world barrier, and arrived above the square heaven great world. Emperor Su, How have you been? A white, fat, kind-looking old man cupped his fists and smiled at Su Fong. To Su Fong's surprise, the visitor was someone from the Grand Star Hall. It was none other than Ji Xing, Immortal Venerable. He had a smile on his face, as if nothing had happened in the boundless secular palace. This time, there were two Immortal Venerables from the Grand Star Hall. In addition to Ji Xing, Immortal Venerable, there was another old man with a youthful face. His strength was slightly higher than Ji Xing, Immortal Venerables by a level. Behind the two of them were a dozen Grand Star Hall experts dressed as attendants. The enchanting and charming Madame Fanghua was among them. Is the Grand Star Hall here to avenge Yun Xiao? Su Fong said coldly. Although Ji Xing, Immortal Venerable, and Crane, Immortal Venerable of the Grand Star Hall were stronger than Bone River Demon Venerable and Brutal Ink Demon Venerable, Su Fong was not afraid of them in the Square Heaven Great World. Ji Xing, Immortal Venerable, cupped his fists and bowed deeply to Su Fong and said sincerely, "We have offended you before. This time, the higher-ups of the Grand Star Hall specially sent Elder Gu Xing and me here not to seek revenge, but to apologize to Emperor Su." Apologize? Su Fong raised his eyebrows. The action of the Grand Star Hall was obviously beyond his expectation. The Grand Star Hall had always been overbearing. Why would they take the initiative to apologize? There must be a conspiracy. This was the first thought that came to Su Fong's mind. Crane, Immortal Venerable, and Elder Gu Xing also cupped their fists toward Su Fong. Yes, Ji Xing and I are here to apologize. Please forgive us. Su Fong secretly asked Madame Fanghua with his nascent spirit, "What is the Grand Star Hall's conspiracy?" Madame Fanghua replied, "Master, the Grand Star Hall doesn't have any conspiracy. They really came here to resolve the previous grievances." Su Fong was not surprised and continued to ask, why? In the boundless secular palace, Master defeated Great Elder Yun and deprived many experts of the Grand Star Hall of their luck. In less than 100 years after returning to the Grand Star Hall, all of them died miserably, including an Immortal Venerable. Therefore, the higher-ups of the Grand Star Hall were shocked, and even Ancestor Grand Star was alarmed. Therefore, the higher-ups sent Elder Gu Xing and Ji Xing, Immortal Venerable, to this immortal domain to resolve the grievances between the Grand Star Hall and Master. After coming to this immortal domain, Elder Gu Xing heard that Master killed Bone River Demon Venerable, suppressed tens of millions of demon soldiers, and forced Brutal Ink Demon Venerable to swear a devil oath. He became even more wary of Master, and he definitely doesn't have any ill intentions. Master, don't worry. I am the concubine of Elder Gu Xing. He trusts me very much. If he has any bad intentions, I will be able to detect it. After hearing Madame Fanghua's words, Su Fong no longer doubted the purpose of the Grand Star Hall. The law of the jungle was once again vividly displayed. If he did not have enough strength, how could he expect the Grand Star Hall to bow down? No matter when or where, strength was always the king. However, if the Grand Star Hall wanted to resolve the grievances, it would have to depend on whether Su Fong agreed or not. Su Fong sneered. The Grand Star Hall has attacked me many times, trying to kill me. Now, you want to resolve the grudge with just a few words of apology? Isn't it a little too easy? I heard that Lord Emperor Su has never been willing to suffer losses. Seeing you today, it's true. Elder Gu Xing said with a smile. This time, I have specially brought the sincerity of the Grand Star Hall. Lord Emperor Su, please take a look. Download address. Mobile reading. Bibliographic review. Chapter 1481. Whoosh, Elder Gu Xing took out a storage ring and sent it to Su Fong with a xianguang. Su Fong grabbed the storage ring and peeled off a strand of his consciousness to look inside. He couldn't help but be shocked. There were a large number of supreme-grade Immortal Essence pills in the storage ring. The number reached a shocking 500 million. Such a large sum of money caused even the rich and overbearing Su Fong's heart to beat wildly. The Great Star Hall is really sincere. I can only accept it reluctantly. Let's write off our previous grudges. Since you've come to the Square Heaven Great World, you're all guests from afar. Why don't you stay for a few days? I'll be a good host. Su Fong invited them with a smile. It was as if he had changed into a different person in an instant. I didn't expect Su Fong to be so greedy. Elder Gu Xing couldn't help but shake his head. Then he thought to himself, those idiots actually snatched his yin-yang immortal sky pill recipe, an alchemist. Why would they not be able to achieve their goal by exploiting his greed? What's wrong with earning money together? Why did they create such a situation and cause the Great Star Hall to suffer such heavy losses? Even I have to humble myself in front of him. The Great Star Hall stayed in the square Heaven Great World. During this period, they reached a new agreement with Su Fong. Su Fong's yin-yang immortal sky pill would be distributed by the Great Star Hall in the various celestial domains of the Great World. The Great Star Hall would only take 40% of the profits. Su Fong also asked Elder Gu Xing about the customs of the other celestial domains and the situation of the Great World, especially the Heaven's Mandate Bright Firmament sect. They were about to leave this celestial domain. The Great World was so vast. If they were to wander around recklessly, who knew how many years it would take them to reach the Heaven's Mandate Bright Firmament sect? Su Fong didn't hide the fact that he was about to go to the other celestial domains. However, he didn't say that he was going to the Heaven's Mandate Bright Firmament sect. Elder Gu Xing invited Su Fong to travel with him enthusiastically. Su Fong thought for a while and agreed readily. Between each immortal realm, not only was there a great distance between them, they also had to pass through countless natural ravines, dangerous lands, wastelands, and other dangerous areas. Even for immortal venerables, it was impossible for them to travel around the macro world. Although Su Fong was a 5-Dao Saint Celestial Stage Celestial Emperor who could kill ordinary celestial venerables, it was still extremely dangerous for him to travel through the celestial realms. Moreover, it would take a lot of time. The Grand Star Hall was the #1 merchant guild in the Great World, and it had set up spatial arrays between the immortal realms. Not only were they extremely fast, but they were also extremely safe. About 5 years later, Su Fong settled everything in the square Heaven World and left more than half of his Dao weapons, elixirs, and other resources in the square Heaven World. Then he bid farewell to his father Su Yaodian, Li Ziqing, Lan Haicheng, Xian Yin Tian, Eccentric Dugu, and the others before leaving the square Heaven World with Elder Gu Xing and Venerable Immortal Ji Xing. In the sky above the world barrier, Su Fong looked back at the square Heaven World and the other immortal realms. Su Fong thought to himself, when I return again, I'll be strong enough to protect this immortal realm from any threats. Let's go. Su Fong suppressed the worry in his heart and headed straight for the border of this immortal domain. He was about to enter the even vaster world. About 100 years later, in a desolate material plane, 3 cultivators sat cross-legged on the ground. Judging from their attire, they were the experts of the Grand Star Hall. Buzz, the space in front of them suddenly vibrated. An array of light appeared. The spatial array is reacting. A big shot from the Grand Star Hall is here. Hurry up and stay alert. An old man shouted. The 3 of them quickly stood up from the ground with a respectful look on their faces. The ray of light rolled, and 3 figures emerged from it. Emperor Su, after another long-distance teleportation, we'll reach the most prosperous central immortal realm in the macro world. Not only the headquarters of the Grand Star Hall, but the heavenly mandate Hao Tsang sect is also in this immortal realm. An old man with a youthful face said with a smile. He was Elder Gu Xing of the Grand Star Hall. The 3 cultivators of the Grand Star Hall who were guarding the spatial array were shocked. Emperor Su, he's so young. Even the elders of the Grand Star Hall are so polite to him. Thank you, Elder Gu Xing and Venerable Immortal Ji Xing. Su Fong cupped his fists and thanked them sincerely. It took him more than 100 years to travel through the spatial array between macro worlds. If he traveled through the void with his own strength, it would take him more than 10 times the time. This showed how far the distance between the immortal realms was. However, traveling through the spatial array was also a very difficult task. Even with Su Fong's strength and perfect physical body, he still felt very tired. Madame Fanghua and the other experts of the Grand Star Hall couldn't bear it all. They were taken into the inner world of the Tao artifact by Elder Gu Xing. The next spatial array will be a long-distance teleportation. Emperor Su, do you want to rest for a while? Elder Gu Xing asked politely. It's okay. Let's go, Su Fong said lightly. His recovery ability was better than Elder Gu Xing and Venerable Immortal Ji Xing naturally. He didn't need a rest. Elder Gu Xing's deep eyes were filled with surprise. After experiencing such a long-distance teleportation, even Venerable Immortal experts felt a little overwhelmed, let alone a Saint Immortal Realm cultivator. Su Fong looked as if nothing had happened to him, which surprised Elder Gu Xing and Venerable Ji Xing. The dread in their hearts grew even stronger. The three of them stood still in the spatial array. The three cultivators of the Grand Star Hall who were guarding the array struck out seals to activate the array. After a flash of light, Su Fong and the others disappeared into the void. Su Fong, Elder Gu Xing, and Venerable Immortal Ji Xing shuttled through the array and moved forward quickly in the spatial passage. The light around them was constantly passing by, giving them the feeling that time was passing by quickly. The terrifying spatial shackles came from all directions. Even with Elder Gu Xing's strength, he couldn't move. He could only let the spatial force push his body forward. Su Fong and Venerable Immortal Ji Xing were even worse. The shackles were so powerful that even Su Fong's perfect physical body couldn't bear it. He secretly activated the power of the yin-yang world to form a protective divine aura on the surface of his body. Only then did he feel much more relaxed. Buzz, suddenly, the life-shrinking technique sensed something, and the mysterious destiny, Tao, runes appeared in his mind. This wasn't someone sensing Su Fong's life and destiny, but someone trying to threaten Su Fong and end his life and destiny. The life-shrinking technique reacted. This ability was the result of Su Fong's continuous cultivation of the life-shrinking technique. His ability to sense destiny had become stronger. Even when he was shuttling through space, he could still sense the enemy's killing intent. Countless mysterious Tao runes condensed into a figure in his mind. Venerable Immortal Ji Xing. Venerable Immortal Ji Xing wants to kill me. Su Fong was shocked. Elder Gu Xing didn't react at all. It seems that Venerable Immortal Ji Xing wants to kill me. It's not the Grand Star Hall's idea, but his own. Venerable Immortal Ji Xing is such a hypocrite. He's usually smiling, but he's so ruthless. What puzzled Su Fong was that the spatial passage was isolated from nature. Space was distorted, and time and heaven and earth were naturally dislocated. In the state of shuttling through space, even moving one's body was very difficult, let alone using divine abilities. The only thing he could use was his physical body, but it was also severely limited. Moreover, the slightest carelessness could cause the spatial passage to collapse, leading to unpredictable dangers. How could Venerable Immortal Ji Xing dare to make a move at this time? Luo reminded in the blood jade in his body. Some magic treasures can release the power of space protection. Even in the state of shuttling through space, you can still use your true qi to perform divine abilities. Venerable Immortal Ji Xing obviously planned this. You have to be careful. It seems that I'm still too soft-hearted. I should have killed Venerable Immortal Ji Xing long ago to get rid of future troubles. Su Fong didn't dare to be careless. He immediately activated the power of his physical body to resist the power of space distortion and shackles. He moved forward with his powerful physical body. Elder Gu Xing, who was not far away, saw Su Fong's action. There was a strange look in his eyes. He transmitted his voice with his vital spirit. What's the meaning of this, Emperor Su? Su Fong replied coldly. Elder Gu Xing, why don't you ask Venerable Immortal Ji Xing's intention? He actually discovered it in advance. This Su Fong has all kinds of magical abilities that are unfathomable. He is indeed astonishing equals N_1. Venerable Immortal Ji Xing was shocked and surprised. He immediately took out a black token. After activating it, a black Xianguang burst out and enveloped him. It formed a protective divine power that resisted the amazing power of space shackles around him. The divine light in venerable immortal Gu Xing's eyes changed instantly. He looked at venerable immortal Ji Xing and shouted coldly with his vital spirit, "Ji Xing, what are you doing?" "What am I doing?" Venerable immortal Ji Xing grinned and replied with his vital spirit, "This person is a big threat to the Grand Star Hall. He killed Yin Xiao and so many experts of the Grand Star Hall. How can I let go of such hatred?" Elder Gu Xing shouted, "It's the decision of Grand Star Ancestor to resolve the grudge with Su Fong." "Ji Xing, how dare you go against the Ancestor's will?" "Su Fong has supreme luck. I cultivate the Tao of Lucky Star. If I devour him, I have a chance to become a peak expert. Besides, Su Fong has a deep enmity with the Grand Star Hall. If I kill him, Grand Star Ancestor will only reward me and won't punish me." Venerable immortal Ji Xing looked at Su Fong with complacency and greed in his eyes. "Su Fong, hand over your life." Whoosh, under the protection of the divine power of the Black Token, venerable immortal Ji Xing was not affected by the power of space shackles. He stepped out of the spatial passage and rushed towards Su Fong. Venerable immortal Ji Xing was like a cultivator flying in nature. His speed was far faster than Su Fong. After a dozen breaths, he was less than 30 meters away from Su Fong. "Su Fong, go to hell. It's your supreme honor to be able to fulfill my Tao of Lucky Star. You can only blame yourself for being too stupid to travel with me and give me the chance to kill you." Whoosh! Venerable immortal Ji Xing did not form any hand seals. In the spatial passage, he could not use the essence of heaven and earth to borrow the power of the stars. Therefore, venerable immortal Ji Xing directly condensed his true qi into a starlight sword qi and shot it towards Su Fong. "Do you think that I, Su Fong, am a weakling that you can slaughter?" Su Fong raised the corner of his mouth and sneered. In the next moment, whoosh, he pushed the power of the yin-yang world to the extreme and formed an aura field around his body. Then, he released the immortal fiend monster. After so many years of recovery, the immortal fiend monster had regained its previous strength and had the strength of an immortal venerable expert. Moreover, the immortal fiend monster's yin-yang immortal fiend power was very strange. It was similar to Su Fong's yin-yang world power. Although it was suppressed by the power of space shackles, it could still display part of its strength in this state. Boom! The immortal fiend monster blasted out a punch. The yin-yang immortal fiend power collided with venerable immortal Ji Xing's starlight sword qi. It caused a violent spatial fluctuation, and the surrounding spatial passage became unstable. Multicolored light flickered rapidly, and the power of space became chaotic. == our download address. Mobile reading, bibliography. Chapter 1482. Damn it, this monster's power is not affected much in the space tunnel. Ji Xing Celestial Venerable had witnessed the strength of the immortal demonic monster when he fought with Demon Venerable Monsi in Su Fong and in the Boundless Secular Palace. However, the power displayed by the immortal demonic monster surprised and shocked Ji Xing Celestial Venerable again. Elder Gu Xing was shocked. "Ji Xing, stop it. You'll destroy the space tunnel." At that time, everyone will be swept into the unknown space by the collapse of the space tunnel, or even die because of the collapse of the space tunnel. The arrow is already knocked. If we miss this opportunity to kill Su Fong, we won't have another chance to kill him in the future. Ji Xing Celestial Venerable gritted his teeth and unleashed the starlight sword qi with all his strength, which rushed towards Su Fong like a tide. Boom! 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 The violent collision caused the space to shatter everywhere. Rays of light kept flickering, and the flow of time in the surroundings also became chaotic. Ji Xing Celestial Venerable strength was originally stronger than the immortal demonic monster, and with the help of the magic treasure, he was not affected by the shackles of space in the space tunnel, so he naturally had the upper hand. After a series of collisions, the immortal demonic monster was suppressed and retreated. Its right shoulder was pierced by the starlight sword qi, and blood spurted out. Qi. It turned out that it was the second primordial spirit, which directly shot out from the body. The power of the primordial spirit had the ability to travel through space and arrays, and it was not affected by the magic treasure. Naturally, it was not shackled in the space tunnel. In a flash, the second primordial spirit turned into a black Xianguang and hit Ji Xing, Celestial Venerable's glabella. Bang! Ji Xing, Celestial Venerable's divine aperture ocean was violently impacted, and his body shook, and the attack suddenly stopped. After all, he was a Celestial Venerable, and his divine aperture defense was very strong. The second primordial spirit could suppress Ji Xing, Celestial Venerable's primordial spirit, but it would take a lot of effort to break the defense of his divine aperture. At the same time, Su Fang also attacked. He used the giant diamond body form, and his whole body flickered with dazzling golden electric current. His bones, flesh, and blood grew at an astonishing speed, and he turned into a 30-meter tall golden giant. Within the spatial tunnel, the larger one's body was, the stronger the shackles would be. Hence, Su Fang did not push the giant Vajra body to its limits. Instead, he only used a portion of its power. Su Fang's entire body was filled with divinity, as if a war god had descended. He took a step forward and shattered the shackles of space around him. Then, he punched Ji Xing, Immortal Venerable. This punch was awe-inspiring and incomparably overbearing equals N_R. Boom! Ji Xing, Immortal Venerable, was like a sandbag that had been hit by a heavy blow. His body was pushed back dozens of meters. His body and internal organs had suffered a lot of damage, and blood was flowing out from the corner of his mouth. Damn it, I thought it was in the bag. I didn't expect him to reverse the situation. Venerable Ji Xing's heart sank into the abyss. If it was only the immortal devil monster and Su Fang, Venerable Ji Xing was confident that he could kill them in one fell swoop with the help of his magical treasures and the environment of the space passage. He had never thought that this would be the result. The main reason was that the threat of the second primordial spirit was too great. If he was careless, the defense of his divine aperture would be broken. At that time, he could only wait to be slaughtered. Elder Gu Xing, let's join hands and kill him. All the treasures on him will belong to you. I only want to devour his luck. I won't take anything else, Venerable Ji Xing said to Elder Gu Xing through his primordial spirit. Elder Gu Xing was tempted as a trace of greed appeared in his deep eyes. Su Fang smiled coldly. Elder Gu Xing, if you don't want to die in this space passage, you might as well give it a try. Elder Gu Xing's face showed hesitation. Obviously, he was very afraid of Su Fang. At this time, Madame Fanghua's voice came from Elder Gu Xing's body. Elder Gu Xing, you can't do this. As far as I know, Su Fang has mastered many supreme divine powers. Even Elder Gu Xing can't contend with him. Don't be bewitched by Venerable Ji Xing, huh? Moreover, according to Great Elder Yun, the heaven-defying divine weapon of the boundless secular palace is most likely in his hands. Elder Gu Xing, think about it. With Great Elder Yun's strength, he is still recuperating in seclusion. Madame Fanghua's words were like ice water poured on Elder Gu Xing's head, completely extinguishing the greed in his heart. As the Great Elder of the Grand Star Hall, Great Elder Yun's strength was much higher than that of Venerable Gu Xing. In the boundless secular palace, Great Elder Yun was chased by the heaven-defying divine weapon and almost lost his life. In the end, he had to bear the hatred of Yun Qiao's death and proposed to Grand Star Ancestor to resolve the grudge with Su Fang. At this time, he was bewitched by Venerable Ji Xing to kill Su Fang. Wasn't he digging his own grave? Emperor Su, Venerable Ji Xing's madness has nothing to do with the Grand Star Hall. Emperor Su, please rest assured that I will never attack you, Elder Gu Xing said righteously. However, he didn't intend to make a move to stop Ji Xing, Immortal Venerable. Once an Immortal Venerable reached the Immortal Venerable realm, not only did they possess extraordinary strength, every single one of them was a cunning old fox. Moreover, they were ruthless and merciless. If Ji Xing, Immortal Venerable, and Su Fang were to fight to the death, he wouldn't miss the opportunity to reap the benefits. Venerable Ji Xing die. Boom! Su Fang, who was in a state of gigantism, suddenly burst out a supreme sovereign's aura. Then a purple cloud rolled out from his body and condensed into a purple cloud canopy above his head. In an instant, Su Fong was like the embodiment of the heavenly Tao, causing even the sky to submit beneath his feet. Moreover, he emanated a supreme aura of fortune, as if the fortune bestowed upon all things by the heavenly Tao was all bestowed upon him. Under this aura, Venerable Ji Xing's will was suppressed and even collapsed. In an instant, he had the thought of worshipping Su Fong, the way of the emperor. He has cultivated the way of the emperor to such a high level and even surpassed the limit of the macro world. Even my original body is suppressed. Venerable Ji Xing's head rumbled. Finally, he bit the tip of his tongue hard and stabilized his almost collapsed will. However, in the next moment, a purple Xian Guang suddenly rolled out from Su Fong's body and wrapped around the black token above Venerable Ji Xing's head. Venerable Ji Xing immediately sensed that the artifact spirit in the black token was extremely frightened and fearful, and he had lost control of the magic treasure. What kind of divine power is this? How can it take away my magic treasure? Venerable Ji Xing was completely dumbfounded. He was shocked and despaired by Su Fong's endless divine powers. He thought that victory was in his grasp, but he did not expect that all his schemes were useless against Su Fong. Instead, he was suppressed by Su Fong, and the situation was completely reversed. Whoosh! The original spirit of the purple cloud, Dharma spirit, wrapped around the black token and flew back. Then it went into the purple cloud space in Su Fong's body. Su Fong took another step forward and punched Ji Xing immortal venerable, sending him flying. At the same time, the second primordial spirit also launched a fierce primordial spirit attack on Venerable Ji Xing. Venerable Ji Xing, who had just won the game, was completely suppressed by Su Fong in the blink of an eye. It was only a matter of time before he was defeated. Su Fong did not use the divine artifact, but he can easily suppress Venerable Ji Xing to this point. If he uses the divine artifact, when Elder Gu Xing saw this scene, his entire body trembled. His back was also filled with chills, and he felt a lingering fear. He transmitted a voice to Madame Fanghua in his body. Fanghua, thank you for reminding me this time. Otherwise, I will make a big mistake and may even die here. You have made a great contribution this time. When we return to the Great Star Hall, I will reward you heavily. Madame Fanghua responded with joy. Thank you, Lord Elder. Elder Gu Xing did not know that Madame Fanghua reminded him not to save him, but for Su Fong. The divine artifact had gone to the myriad world. At this time, if Elder Gu Xing and Venerable Ji Xing joined forces, no matter how powerful Su Fong was, he would be in an extremely dangerous situation when facing two venerable immortals at the same time. Without the protection of the divine artifact, it became very difficult for Venerable Ji Xing to move his body. He was completely crushed. Under the constant impact of the second primordial spirit, the defense of Venerable Ji Xing's divine aperture was on the verge of collapse. Su Fong also continued to urge the Emperor's divine aura, together with the purple cloud Dharma spirit, constantly oppressing Ji Xing's will and bombarding Ji Xing's body with the terrifying divine power of the giant Vajra body. A dignified, venerable immortal was being trampled like a sandbag. The scene was very miserable. Ji Xing, why don't you surrender? Su Fong said in a majestic voice with his primordial spirit. This noble one has calculated everything and thought that I didn't underestimate your strength. I didn't expect that I was still so wrong equals and _R. Since I've been defeated, I naturally have to bear the consequences of failure. Ji Xing, immortal venerable, revealed a bitter and unwilling expression. The next moment, his eyes suddenly burned with crazy flames, and his cultivation became violent at the same time. He was like a peerless, ferocious beast that had fallen into madness. Oh no, he's going to self-destruct his cultivation. Su Fongdao was shocked and retreated quickly. Elder Gu Xing's divine aura changed instantly, and he shouted with his primordial spirit, Ji Xing, you're crazy. Stop it now. I'll plead with Emperor Su to save your life. How terrifying was the self-destruction of a venerable immortal. If it was during normal times, they would just stay far away from the self-destruction. At this time, in this space tunnel, they were in a state of space shuttling, so they couldn't use their divine powers. Even if they could escape, the power of the self-destruction would collapse the space tunnel, and even Elder Gu Xing wouldn't be able to protect himself. Ha! The second primordial spirit returned to the immortal fiend monster's body, and then quickly stood in front of Su Fong, intending to use his body as a shield. Su Fong is ruthless. How can he let me go? Even if I die, I'll drag him down with me. This way, I'll die a worthy death. Ha ha! Venerable Ji Xing laughed maniacally. Boom! His golden core, true qi, body, and the Tao artifact in his body released all of their energy at this moment. Rumble, like a star exploding. The dazzling light engulfed the entire space tunnel. The space also shattered layer by layer, and a large area collapsed, forming space distortion and shattering force. In addition to the teleportation force of the space tunnel, the terrifying energy formed by Venerable Ji Xing's self-destruction merged together and swept out like a tsunami. Elder Gu Xing was swept into the chaotic space torrent by the impact of this force, and he disappeared in an instant. Puff! The immortal fiend monster only lasted for a moment before it spat out blood. Its body was shattered everywhere, and it was immediately engulfed by the energy torrent. Su Fong was blocked by the immortal fiend monster for most of the impact. At the same time, he also activated the power of the yin-yang world to the extreme, forming a defense around him. However, under the terrifying impact, all of Su Fong's efforts became weak. The defense formed by the power of the yin-yang world was instantly shattered, followed by the indestructible golden body. Then it shattered. His flesh, meridians, bones, Dantian, golden core origin, and even the heaven and earth Tao palace and world seed were violently shaken and impacted. In such a state, Su Fong couldn't control his body at all. He was swept away by the violent energy torrent, and with serious injuries, he was swept into an unknown space. =our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1483. As if he had spent thousands of years in the dark, Su Fong finally regained consciousness. He felt that his body was constantly moving, as if he was on a big ship. Hey, you're awake. A little girl's clear voice rang in his ears. Su Fong used all the strength in his body to finally open his eyes. He saw the face of a little girl. She looked to be around 12 or 13 years old. She was a beauty, but her face was pale. Clearly, she was seriously ill. I'll call my sister. The little girl skipped out of the room. A moment later, the little girl's voice came from outside. Sister, the dead man woke up. He really came back to life. Dead man. Su Fong smiled bitterly in his heart. Ji Xing immortal venerable self-destruction caused the space passage to collapse. Su Fong was severely injured and was swept into the space turbulence. Later, he lost consciousness. He thought that he would definitely die this time, but he miraculously survived. It seemed that he was saved by the little girl. Where is this? It seems that he was saved by someone. I don't know which immortal realm this is, or how many years have passed. Let's ignore him and check his injuries first. Su Fong struggled to sit up, but he felt a sharp pain all over his body. He couldn't even move his fingers. Such serious injuries. Su Fong hurriedly peeled off a young immortal and put it into his body. After checking his body, Su Fong's heart sank to the bottom. His body was severely injured. The black lotus blood threads that ran through his body and the dragon-subduing true body had shrunk a lot. His meridians were numb, and he didn't know how many of them were broken. The golden core origin was dim, and there were cracks on it. It was almost broken. Even the heaven and earth Tao palace was severely injured. The yang qi in the yang meridian had almost dried up, and the world seed had become dispirited. Apart from the purple qi dharma spirit and the yang immortal, almost all of his supernatural powers and physical abilities were in a severely damaged state. Even the blood-water doppelganger left behind in the true dragon realm had fused with Su Fong's physical body to heal his injuries, when he was swept into the space torrent. Otherwise, it was hard to say if he would have been able to last until now. With such heavy injuries, he was no different from a dead person. No wonder the little girl called him a dead person. Damned venerable lucky star. Su Fong had never suffered such a serious injury before. He couldn't help but curse Ji Xing immortal venerable in his heart. Even Elder Gushing of the Grand Star Hall could have perished in the face of such a terrifying impact. You should be glad that you're still alive. If it weren't for the supreme fortune brought to you by the purple cloud Dharma spirit, you would have been dead. That's right, Luo said with his nascent spirit. After being enlightened by law, Su Fong finally felt a little better. Su Fong used his primordial spirit to sense the second primordial spirit, but he was unable to sense its existence. Given the strength of the second primordial spirit, it was impossible for it to die. Clearly, it was too far away from the main body, so it could not sense it. What made Su Fong feel fortunate was that his dragon-subduing true body and Black Lotus true body were recovering their life force. However, it was very slow. After all, his physical body was severely injured, and these two wood elemental abilities were also greatly damaged. The powerful big goblin like Bai Ling and Zhu Huang in the True Dragon realm, as well as the experts like the Undead King and Old Monster Zhu Tian, as well as the 1,000,000 small commanders who were carefully selected after leaving the Square Heaven world, were all safe and sound. With these experts by side, Su Fong more or less had some confidence. Su Fong, in your current state, it's best not to use the Tao artifact or the experts under you. Law reminded him. Su Fong thought for a while and understood what law meant. Before leaving the Square Heaven world, he learned from Elder Gushing that the other immortal realms were full of experts. Almost all the sector lords of the immortal realms were immortal venerables, and there was no lack of peerless immortal venerables standing at the peak of the immortal realm. In the immortal realm, where Su Fong was, a saint immortal with 9 Tao realm could sweep the entire immortal realm. Naturally, it could not be compared to the immortal realms outside. Now that he was seriously injured and his situation was unknown, once the various treasures on him were exposed, it would definitely bring about a fatal disaster. Law, I'm sorry. I originally planned to go to the Tianming Hao Song sect to help you get that blood jade, but I didn't expect an unexpected disaster to come. I'm afraid it'll be difficult for me to get the blood jade in a short period of time. Su Fong was very ashamed. Law, however, chuckled optimistically. I've been sealed in the blood jade alone for God knows how many years, so I'm already used to it. Even if I can't gather the other blood jades in the future, it doesn't matter. You should try to recover as soon as possible. At this moment, Su Fong's great perfection ability sensed that the little girl had returned with a woman. Su Fong's physical body was seriously injured, so his great perfection ability had decreased a lot. However, his great perfection hearing and eye power were more than 10 times better than ordinary cultivators. You're awake. The woman swept her cold eyebrows and looked at Su Fong. This woman looked to be in her early 20s. She was born with heavenly beauty, comparable to great beauties like Lan Haicheng and Huang Fufei. Her cultivation was also very good, reaching the realm immortal 3 Tao realm. If she was in the immortal realm where Su Fong was from, she would definitely be considered a peerless genius equals in _1. However, Su Fong noticed that there was a worried expression hidden in the depths of the woman's eyes. Clearly, she had encountered a troublesome matter that was difficult to resolve. When you were swept out of the spatial turbulence, our U-Clan's treasure ship happened to pass by, so we saved you. We thought you were dead for sure. If it wasn't for my kindness, I would have thrown you off the ship already. Now that you're able to come back from a near-death state, you clearly weren't an ordinary cultivator. Unfortunately, your meridians are broken and your physical body is so heavily injured. You'll only be a cripple who can't cultivate in the future, so we can't keep bringing you along. In a few days, when the treasure ship reaches the King City of Heaven, Tao, Immortal Realm, you'll have to leave the ship. Whether you live or die, it'll be up to the heavens. The woman's voice was cold and distant. After she finished speaking, she turned around and walked out of the room. Thank you for saving my life, Su Fong said weakly. The little girl at the side said, Don't thank my sister. She looks cold, but she has a good heart. When we meet some injured kittens and puppies, as long as I beg my sister, she will also save them. Kittens and puppies, cough, cough. Su Fang's breathing was not smooth, and he almost choked. The little girl asked, "Hey, what's your name?" Su Fang thought for a moment and said, "Heavenly Treasure." Heavenly Treasure? That name is really tacky. The little girl pouted. "My surname is Yu. My name is Miao Mei. My sister is Yu Miaoing." This little girl, called Yu Miao Mei, was very lively. Su Fang quickly obtained a lot of information from her. So, this immortal realm was the destination of Su Fang's trip, the central region of a large world. However, the central immortal realm was extremely vast. There were all kinds of time and space, material realms, and countless dangerous and barren lands. The immortal realm that Su Fang was in was called Heaven Dao Immortal Realm. It was at the edge of the central immortal realm. The strongest power in Heaven Dao Immortal Realm was called World Palace. There were countless cultivation sects and clans in the immortal realm. Yu Miaoing's Yu family was in Heaven Dao Immortal Realm. In the past, it could be considered a cultivation family in Heaven Dao Immortal Realm. However, it had declined greatly and could only barely prevent the family from being swallowed up by other powers. Yu Miaoing was the absolute genius of Yu family. Her cultivation talent was extraordinary. This time, Yu family was going to Heaven Dao Immortal Realm to participate in a grand event of World Palace called the Heaven Ascension Assembly. The so-called Heaven Ascension Assembly was a competition held by World Palace to select geniuses. The selected geniuses would be carefully nurtured by World Palace. It could be said that they had reached the heavens in a single bound. When Yu family treasure ship passed through a natural ravine, a spatial storm suddenly erupted. Su Fang was swept out of the storm and was saved by Yu Miaoing. At that time, Su Fang was no different from a dead person. If it weren't for Yu Miaomei's kindness and begging her sister, Su Fang would have been thrown off the treasure ship to fend for himself. Su Fang stayed on Yu Jiabao's ship for the time being. If he were an ordinary cultivator, his injuries would have killed him even if he had 10 lives. Fortunately, his physical body had reached perfection, and he also had the Black Lotus True Body and the Dragon Subduing True Body. However, Su Fang's injuries were too serious. The Dragon Subduing True Body and the Black Lotus True Body were also seriously injured and couldn't recover in a short time. Su Fang also tried to activate the Acheron Blood Sea, who knew that because his injuries were too serious, he couldn't collapse his physical body and use the Acheron Blood Sea to devour the elixirs. He couldn't even swallow and refine the elixirs. Su Fang could only rely on the self-recovery ability of the Dragon Subduing True Body and the Black Lotus True Body. When his physical body recovered to a certain extent, he could accelerate the recovery speed. In a flash, 3 months passed. Su Fang's body could finally move. The injuries on his body didn't look so scary. However, the damage to his Jindan and Dao Palace was difficult to recover in a short time. Even his meridians were in a severely broken state, and it was difficult to operate his genuine qi. Yu Miaoing never appeared again after showing her face. However, her sister, Miao Mei, accompanied Su Fang every day to talk. "Tian Bao, you've recovered a lot. You're really a strange person." Yu Miao Mei hadn't appeared for several days and looked very weak. Su Fang's perfection ability swept over Yu Miao Mei's body and immediately frowned. Law said in surprise from the blood jade in his body, "Hey, it's actually the very rare Yang body." "Law, what is the Yang body?" Su Fang also sensed that Yu Miao Mei's physique was completely different from ordinary people. Her Yang Qi was weak and her Yin Qi was exuberant. Logically speaking, such a person shouldn't be able to survive. Su Fang sensed that in Yu Miaomei's body, there were remnants of Yang attribute genuine qi and elixirs. Obviously, she relied on these to survive. The so-called Yang body is a special physique where the Yin qi in the physique is too heavy and the Yang qi is almost exhausted. This little girl's Yang body is different from others. She should have the bloodline of the ancient spirit clan, but it's very thin. If the spirit clan bloodline had been sleeping, it would be no different from ordinary people. However, her spirit clan bloodline is awakening, so she needs to devour a lot of yang qi, which led to her yang qi's exhaustion. Her sister obviously invited a master of yang attribute genuine qi to replenish her yang qi and elixirs. Otherwise, she wouldn't have survived until now. However, looking at her current situation, I'm afraid she won't live for more than a year. Su Fong asked, "My yang qi should be able to save her, right?" Of course. The yang qi that comes from your supreme cultivation technique is unparalleled not only in the great world, but also in the myriad worlds. It is of great help to the spirit clan. This little girl's spirit clan bloodline probably sensed your yang qi, so she is so close to you. Yu Miaomei had saved Su Fong's life, so of course, Su Fong would try his best to save her. However, he couldn't even save himself at this time. So how could he save her? Su Fong decided to use the aphrodisiac pill to prolong her life first, and then save Yu Miaomei after his yang qi recovered. =_our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1484. Yu Miaomei's physique was very weak and could not bear the medicinal power of the yin-yang immortal sky pill. She could only take the impotence pill, which needed to be diluted with spiritual water. The impotence pill was refined by Su Fong when he was in the small world. At this time, he did not have any on him, so he could only ask old monster Zhu Tian to refine it. Then, Su Fong refined the impotence pill into a spiritual liquid with the crucible transformation technique. After diluting it with spiritual water, he gave it to Yu Miaomei. He put the spiritual liquid in a drinking cup and let Yu Miaomei drink it. Who knew that Yu Miaomei's face would be full of vigilance? "Tian Bao, what did you give me to drink?" "My sister said that some men are very bad, and they specialize in deceiving beautiful little girls like me. You are not one of them, are you?" Cough, cough, cough. Su Fong almost choked on his anger. This mischievous girl really did have a spirit tribe's bloodline. Su Fong had to bite the bullet and coax Yu Miaomei to drink the spiritual liquid. After more than 10 days, Yu Miaomei's almost exhausted yang qi recovered a little, and her complexion became much better. How dare you deceive Miaomei and give her the medicine? Who knew that Yu Miaoyin would come to denounce him on this day, followed by a very handsome young man? Su Fong said lightly, "I just saw that she was weak and gave her some pills." "Miss Miaomei, why talk nonsense with such a shameless person? Just kill him." The young man raised his eyebrows, and his eyes flashed with killing intent. A fierce and shocking aura shrouded Su Fong, wanting to kill Su Fong directly. This person was called by Yushu. He was not a member of the Yu family, but a suitor of Yu Miaomei. This time, he took the Yu family treasure ship to the World Palace. The young man's cultivation was also very extraordinary, one step higher than Yu Miaomei. He had reached the level of the fourth Tao realm in the world immortal realm, and could be regarded as a genius. Yu Miaomei pleaded, "Sister, don't be angry. Tian Bao tricked me into drinking the medicine. I drank the medicine he gave me and didn't fall into a coma. I can guarantee that he definitely didn't do anything to me. It would have been fine if the little girl did not plead, but now that she said it." Yu Miaoyin's eyes were cold as she shouted, "Master Bai, kill him." Su Fong's lips curled into a half-smile. He looked at the young man as if he was looking at an ant. He had even killed an immortal reverend before, so why would he be afraid of a realm immortal fourth Tao realm cultivator? Catching a glimpse of Su Fong's eyes, Yu Miaoyin's heart could not help but tremble. An invisible sense of danger rose in her heart. Just as Bai Yushu was about to make a move, Yu Miaoyin suddenly stopped him. "Young Master Bai, please wait. Let's hear what this person has to say first. If you kill me, your sister will die. Besides, this young Master Bai, he can't kill me." Su Fong spoke indifferently, and he naturally revealed an imposing aura that only an expert could possess. Bai Yushu sneered, "I can't even kill a trash like you. What a joke." Su Fong did not bother to pay attention to this person. He took out a bottle of aphrodisiac pills from his storage ring and threw it to Yu Miaoyin. He said indifferently, "These pills can delay your sister's illness. If you don't believe me, then forget it." Pills from a small world? Yu Miaoyin was not surprised. She took out a pill and swallowed it without hesitation. The next moment, Yu Miaoying's deep eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. Then, she said in a cold and domineering voice, "How many of these pills do you have? Take them all out." "That's all," Su Fong replied coldly. Yu Miaoying's attitude made Su Fong very unhappy. Moreover, aphrodisiac pills were pills from the small world. At most, they could delay Yu Miaomei's young, absolute physique. The effect was very limited. It was useless to take out more. Bai Yushu said with a murderous look, "Miaoying saved your life. Your life belongs to Miss Miaoying. How dare you be rude to Miaoying? Aren't you afraid that I will kill you?" Su Fong simply closed his eyes and did not make a sound. "Young Master Bai, forget it." Yu Miaoying did not know why, but she was faintly afraid of Su Fong in her heart. She pulled her sister out of the room. "Trash. No matter what your identity was before and how mighty you are just a trash now. If you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth, you will die sooner or later." Bai Yushu also saw that Su Fong was somewhat extraordinary. However, he did not take it to heart. He snorted and followed out embarrassedly. Su Fong's expression was calm. Yu Miaoying and Bai Yushu's treatment of him did not cause the slightest change in his mood. With his current realm, whether it was cultivation or Dao heart, he was an existence that the two of them had to look up to. These two people were like ants in his eyes, and he was a ferocious beast. Although he was injured, it was easy to crush these two ants. About half a year later, Su Fong's physical body had finally recovered by more than half. He could already disintegrate his physical body, cultivate the yellow spring blood sea, and devour elixirs and spiritual items. At the same time, Gui also transformed into blood water to help Su Fong recover. In this way, Su Fong's recovery ability became incomparably amazing again. In addition to the royal grade elixirs, Yin Yang Immortal Sky Elixir, and various spiritual items and resources, it took only a few days for his physical body to completely recover. His Yang Qi also recovered a lot. However, the World Seed, Heaven and Earth Dao Palace, Golden Core Origin, Black Lotus True Body, and Dragon Subduing True Body could not be completely restored to their best state in a short period of time. Yang Qi and True Qi could not be activated temporarily. However, Su Fong only relied on the strength of his physical body. Even if he did not activate other forces, he could still kill an ordinary saint immortal realm expert. After the incident that day, Yu Miaoying and Bai Yushu did not appear again. Yu Miaomei, who used to stick to Su Fong all day long, also disappeared. Su Fong secretly used his perfect realm ability to observe Yu Miaomei's young absolute physique. After the little girl took the aphrodisiac pill, there were no abnormalities for the time being. Su Fong did not take the initiative to look for her. On this day, Su Fong was sitting cross-legged in his room to cultivate. Suddenly, his perfect realm ability sensed hundreds of cultivators coming from the nebula towards the treasured ship. The Yu clan is in trouble this time. Su Fong smiled faintly. These cultivators all had a fierce and murderous aura. Clearly, they were outlaws who often engaged in robbery. Moreover, among these people, there was a middle-aged man with a dark face. His cultivation had reached the peak of the 9th Dao realm. His strength was extraordinary. At a glance, the cultivators under him were all experts who had experienced hundreds of battles. Although the Yu clan also had hundreds of cultivators, the strongest was an old man at the 9th Dao realm. It was Bai Yushu and Yu Miaoying. The others were far weaker than the newcomers. Obviously, they were no match for them. After half an incense stick's worth of time, the Yu clan finally sensed the approaching danger. The Yu clan lived up to its name of being a cultivation clan with a long history. Although it was in decline, it was still calm in the face of chaos. It quickly activated the treasured ship's barrier and urged the ship to fly, trying to shake off the pursuit of the cultivators. The Black Star Pirates. They're the famous Black Star Pirates of the Heaven, Dao, Immortal World. When they saw the black star mark between the eyebrows of the newcomers, the Yu clan cultivators on the ship were all shocked. Even the 9th Realm World, Immortal Elder of the Yu family, had a grave expression on his face. The Black Star Pirates were a famous group of bandits in the Heaven Dao immortal world. Their leader was a peerless immortal emperor at the ninth Dao realm of the Saint immortal world. Moreover, the Black Star Pirates never left anyone alive when they attacked. They were all vicious and merciless. Now that the Yu clan was targeted by the Black Star Pirates, how could they not be afraid? The old man of the Yu clan said, "Miao Yin, when a situation turns bad, immediately take Miao Mei and leave the ship. Young Master Bai, please help Miao Yin leave." Bai Yushu's face was pale from fright, but he still forced himself to be calm and said, "Senior, don't worry. With me here, I'll definitely escort Miao Yin safely to World Palace." After a dozen breaths, the Black Star Pirates arrived. Boom, boom, boom. Kill, leave the women, and kill all the men. A ferocious glint flashed across the eyes of the black-faced man as he issued an order without hesitation. The Black Star Pirates either activated their divine abilities or unleashed their Dao treasures to attack the treasure ship. The Yu Clan ship was also a peak extreme grade Dao item. After being activated by the Immortal Stone, its defense was amazing and the Black Star Pirates couldn't break through in a short time. However, the ship didn't have the ability to attack. Under the fierce attacks of the Black Star Pirates, it was only a matter of time before it was broken through. An hour later, the treasured ship's barrier shattered layer by layer and was about to completely collapse. "Where's Miao Mei?" Yu Miao Yin didn't see her sister and her face changed. She released her sensing ability and found that Yu Miao Mei was in Su Feng's room. Yu Miao Yin frowned. This girl, she still cares about the life and death of trash at this time. Yu Miao Yin quickly came to Su Feng's room with Bai Yushu following closely behind. Seeing Su Feng's appearance, Yu Miao Yin was shocked. After such a long time of recovery, although Su Feng still looked pale, he no longer looked like he was on the verge of death. Moreover, Su Feng's eyes were calm like the deep starry sky. There wasn't a trace of panic. Such terrifying recovery ability and such magnanimity. How could Yu Miao Yin not be shocked? Sister, Tian Bao is so pitiful. His elixir also helped me a lot. Let's take him with us later, okay? Yu Miao Mei begged her sister. Bai Yushu sneered. The Black Star Pirates are coming. We can't even protect ourselves. How can we take such a burden with us? Then he shouted coldly at Su Feng. Trash, you're really good. You actually coaxed Sister Miao Mei. Do you believe that I won't kill you now? At this moment, boom, the treasured ship shook violently, and the enchantment shattered with a loud bang. The treasured ship that was flying at high speed also came to a stop. Kill! The Black Star Pirates with monstrous murderous aura charged onto the treasured ship. The cultivators of the Yu family fought back, but the difference in strength between them and the Dark Star Pirates was too great. Soon, some of the cultivators of the Yu family died. Even the strongest cultivator of the Yu family, a ninth Dao realm cultivator, was seriously injured by the peak immortal emperor of the Dark Star Pirates. Let's go. Bai Yushu rushed out of the room. Yu Miaoyin gritted her teeth and pulled her sister. When she was about to follow, Bai Yushu was sent flying back with a boom. He fell heavily on the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. His aura suddenly weakened. A Black Star pirate strode into the room. It was a seventh Dao realm immortal celestial emperor. The murderous light in his eyes swept across the room. When he saw the faces of Yu Miao Yin and Yu Miao Mei, the Black Star pirate's eyes immediately burned with greed. The Black Star pirate laughed wildly. My luck is really good this time. I actually caught two beautiful women, one big and one small. Should I start with the big one and have a taste of the little one first? This is really embarrassing. Yu Miao Yin's face turned pale. Yu Miao Mei was so scared that she retreated. =our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1485. Kill these two eyesores first. The Black Star pirate glanced at Su Feng and Bai Yushu fiercely. Bai Yushu was trembling in fear and even lost the courage to resist. He no longer had his previous arrogance and demeanor. Shameless thief, I will fight you. Yu Miaoyin did not lose her heroic spirit. She formed a seal and released a cold sword chi, which shot towards the Black Star pirate like a tide. Not bad. I like shrewish women the most. I will start with you. Come here, I will definitely love you dearly. Huh. The Black Star Pirate sneered. After forming a seal, a layer of black immortal armor, like a turtle shell, appeared on his body, forming a strong defense. Yu Miaoying's sword chi hit the immortal armor, but it only caused the black Xian Guang to flicker. It did not hurt the Black Star Pirate at all. The Black Star Pirate stretched out his hand and grabbed towards Yu Miaoying's chest. Bang! Yu Miaoying had no choice but to block with her jade-like hand. She was pushed back by a majestic and vigorous aura. She finally stopped when she leaned against Su Fong. Not only did this Black Star Pirate have an amazing cultivation, he also had a powerful immortal armor and an extremely powerful divine power. Yu Miaoying's aura suddenly became sluggish. It seemed that the Black Star Pirate's attack was not light. Don't hurt my sister. Yu Miaomei stood in front of her sister. Although her whole body was trembling, her face was still filled with anger and determination. Just nice, one big and one small, we'll do it together. The Black Star Pirate's eyes were filled with evil. Yu Miaoying completely fell into despair. Bai Yushu took the opportunity when the Black Star Pirate's attention was on the Yu sisters to sneak out of the room. At this moment, a hand pressed on Yu Miaoying's back. She was suddenly shocked and angry. This shameless person who bites the hand that feeds him. I save his life, and at this critical moment, he still wants to take advantage of me. At this moment, Su Fong was sitting cross-legged behind her. Other than him, there was no one else. The next moment, a cold aura burst out from that hand and directly entered Yu Miaoying's body from her back. Yu Miaoying also cultivated cold, genuine qi. After this extremely cold breath entered her body, Yu Miaoying's genuine qi suddenly became incomparably abundant in an instant, turning into a terrifying power that was difficult for her to control, surging and roaring in her body. Yu Miaoying involuntarily raised her right hand. A cold Xianguang condensed into a sword qi and shot out. The Black Star Pirate was caught off guard and dodged to the side in shock. Qi! The sword light pierced through the Dark Star Pirate's aura with unstoppable force and shot into his right shoulder. It pierced through his armor and flesh and went through the back of his shoulder. What a terrifying sword qi. It actually hit its strength. Equals N_1. The Black Star Pirate felt that half of his body was frozen. He looked at Yu Miaoying with eyes full of shock and surprise. Yu Miaoying also looked at her own jade-like hands in disbelief. Then, she turned her head and looked at Su Fong, who was sitting majestically, revealing an expression as if she had seen a ghost. It turned out that at the critical moment, Su Fong extracted a trace of extremely cold breath from the Origin's sacred mirror and injected it into Yu Miaoying's body, causing her strength to suddenly skyrocket. Unfortunately, Yu Miaoying's strength was too weak to control this extremely cold breath. She could only injure the Black Star Pirate. Looks like I have to take action. Su Fong was helpless. He could ignore the life and death of the Yu family, but the Yu sisters had saved his life. No matter what, he cannot ignore them. Su Fong sat cross-legged and did not move. He looked at the Black Star Pirate and said indifferently, "Tell your leader to leave the treasure ship immediately, and I will pretend that nothing happened." The Black Star Pirate was startled and immediately burst into laughter. "Where did you come from? How dare you be pretentious in front of me? See if I don't twist your head off." As soon as his voice fell, Su Fong stood up and took a step forward. "I will blow you up with one punch." The Black Star Pirate punched out with an astonishing momentum, as if a mountain could be collapsed by his punch. "Celestial treasure, be careful," Yu Miaomei screamed. Boom! The Black Star Pirate's body exploded and turned into a pool of blood, splattering all over the walls. The impact of the collision shook the treasure ship violently. The immortal marks on the walls of the room were also shattered layer by layer, and fine cracks appeared. Just the divine strength of his body was enough to kill a celestial emperor expert with one punch. The power was so powerful. Yu Miaoying's eyes were filled with shock. Besides shock, Bai Yushu was more in awe and fear. At this moment, Su Fong, who was despised by them, had turned into a man-eating piece of garbage in an instant. "Wow, celestial treasure, you are so powerful." Yu Miaomei widened her eyes and exclaimed in disbelief. Yu Miaoyin came to her senses and knelt down in front of Su Fong. I have eyes but failed to see. I didn't know that Senior was a hidden, peerless expert. I was rude to Senior. Senior, thank you for saving me. Su Fong said indifferently. You saved my life, so I saved yours now. You don't have to thank me. Yu Miaoyin gritted her teeth and said, Senior, please save the Yu family from this disaster. Yu Miaomei also said timidly, Celestial Treasure, please save my family, okay? Su Fong smiled. Since you asked me to save them, I will naturally save them. Go. Su Fong took out a profound sword. The purple Xinguang in his hand flashed, and the profound sword shot out from the door. They heard one after another miserable shriek after another outside. After a dozen or so breaths later, the treasured ship was dead silent equals and _1. Swoosh! The flying sword flew back from outside the door, circled around Su Fong, and was taken into Su Fong's palm. Su Fong, on the other hand, returned to his seat and closed his eyes as if nothing had happened. Yu Miaoyin and Bai Yushu were surprised and suspicious. They walked out of the room, but there was no movement for a long time. What's going on? Yu Miaomei also walked out. She was stunned by the scene she saw, and then she couldn't help but vomit. More than 100 Black Star pirates were all dead on the ground. Their heads were pierced by the flying sword, and they were all killed in one blow, including the 9th Dao Realm World Immortal Expert. Such a horrible scene made all the Yu family experts dumbfounded, and they turned into pieces of wood. The Yu family thanks Senior for saving our lives. The 9th Dao Realm, Saint Immortal Old Man of the Yu family, led Yu Miaoyin and other Yu family experts to Su Fong's room and bowed respectfully to thank him. It's nothing. You don't have to thank me. Disperse. I want to cultivate. Don't disturb me. Su Fong's majestic voice came out. Even though he hadn't fully recovered his strength at this moment, with the Violet Chi Dharma Spirit's shocking ability to control magic treasures, it was indeed a piece of cake for him to utilize a peak-grade profound sword to kill a group of cultivators below the Saint Immortal Realm. The Yu family people bowed deeply to the room, and then dispersed to clean up the corpses on the treasure ship. Miaoyin, why aren't you going in to serve Senior? The Yu family old man secretly gave Yu Miaoyin a meaningful look. His intention couldn't be clearer. If they could climb up to such an expert, not only Yu Miaoyin, but the entire Yu family would be able to rise again. Yu Miaoyin's eyes showed hesitation, and then she bit her lip, walked into the room resolutely, and closed the door. Su Fong's eyebrows raised, and he asked, Didn't I tell you not to disturb me? Yu Miaoyin respectfully knelt on the ground. Junior has a request. I beg Senior to save Miaomei. Junior is willing to pay any price. Any price? Su Fong was stunned, and then he showed a faint smile. Yu Miaoyin's face reddened, and then she said firmly, Yes, as long as Senior can save Junior's life, Junior is willing to pay any price. At this time, Law said from within his body, Su Fong, this girl is not bad. Fairy Xuanxin is not by your side. Why don't you take her in and solve your physiological problem? In the future, this immortal domain will not be so boring. Su Fong ignored Law's advice and then looked at Yu Miaoyin. You saved my life, and I also like Miaomei very much. You don't need to say anything. I will naturally save her. You don't need to pay any price. Senior, you are a peerless expert. How can you do this? Yu Miaoyin suddenly stood up from the ground, and her eyes showed anger. Su Fong was innocent, and he said in surprise, What did I do? Miaomei is still young. If Senior needs someone to serve you, although my cultivation realm is not worth mentioning in Senior's eyes, I still have some beauty. Moreover, I'm still a virgin. I am willing to do my best to serve Senior. Senior, please let Miaomei go. As Yu Miaoyin spoke, she untied her Taoist robe, revealing her graceful and seductive jade body. Su Fong was shocked and stunned. Then he waved his hand helplessly and said, I like Miaomei. I like her as a younger sister. How can I have such dirty thoughts as you think? Could it be that in your heart, I'm that kind of inferior person? Put on your clothes. If you are seen by others, your chastity will be ruined. Ah! Yu Miaoying blushed and put on her Taoist robe in a hurry. She was very embarrassed. Then Junior will not disturb Senior. Yu Miaoying was about to leave in a panic. Wait, Su Fong suddenly said. Senior, have you changed your mind? Yu Miaoying looked at Su Fong in surprise, and a trace of surprise flashed in her eyes. Su Fong peeled off a strand of 9 cold chi from the Origin's sacred mirror, condensed it into a ball of energy, and inserted it into a rune talisman, and then handed it to Yu Miaoying. Take it and cultivate. It can at least help you break through your current realm. Su Fong said lightly. Feeling the cold chi in the rune talisman, Yu Miaoying was very happy. At this time, Yu Miaomei walked in. Seeing her sister's disheveled appearance, she showed a suspicious expression. Sister, what's wrong? Tianbao, did you bully sister just now? Shua. Yu Miaoying's face was so red that it was about to drip blood. She lowered her head and hurried out of the room. Because of her panic, she almost hit her head on the door. Inside the room, Yu Miaomei winked at Su Fong and whispered, Tianbao, why don't you be my brother-in-law? I can help you. My sister is very powerful and very famous in the Heaven Dao immortal world. Many peerless geniuses surround her all day. Law burst out laughing in the blood jade again. Su Fong was very depressed and simply closed his eyes without saying a word. Yu Miaoying walked out of the room and tidied up her robe. Thinking of what just happened, a layer of red appeared on her beautiful face. Then she sighed, and a trace of disappointment appeared in her deep eyes. Yu Miaoying's cultivation talent and appearance were quite famous in the Heaven Dao immortal world. Which man would not be moved by her? This time, she stripped naked and still could not move Su Fong. This made Yu Miaoying feel very frustrated in her heart. This adulterous couple. In the distance, by Yu Shu, who had been paying attention, saw Yu Miaoying's appearance, and his eyes were burning with jealousy and hatred. Equals underscore our download address. Mobile reading. Bibliographic review. Chapter 1486. The Yu clan's treasure ship traveled through the void for about a month. A surprised and excited voice came from one of the rooms on the ship, startling everyone in the Yu clan. Then, an extremely cold aura soared into the sky. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth in the space was attracted by a faintly discernible force. It surged towards the treasured ship with the momentum of a tsunami. Eldest Miss has broken through to the fourth world immortal realm. Eldest Miss has cultivated for less than 200,000 years, and without the resources of other major forces, she broke through to the fourth world immortal realm with her own talent. There's hope for the Yu clan to regain its former glory. Everyone in the Yu clan discussed excitedly. Su Fong suddenly opened his eyes and exclaimed, Luo said from the blood jade, Yu Miaoying's talent is extraordinary. You also gave her the 9 chi in the Origin sacred mirror. It doesn't seem strange for her to advance to the next level, right? Su Fong's eyes flashed. He transmitted his voice with his primordial spirit. Luo, I'm not surprised that Yu Miaoying broke through to the fourth world immortal realm. It's the technique she used to devour the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. That's right. In the void outside the immortal realm, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth is very thin. With her fourth world immortal realm, it's impossible for her to stir up the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in such a large area. Luo, the technique Yu Miaoying used is similar to the ethereal enlightenment's technique, ethereal realm. Ethereal enlightenment equals N_1. Is the Yu clan related to the ethereal spiritual master? Maybe. We'll know after asking. Su Fong was also very shocked. Unexpectedly, he really didn't expect Yu Miaoying to be able to use the ethereal enlightenment's Tao of illusion. Even though there was a world of difference between him and Su Fong, and his comprehension of the ethereal quintessence was not deep enough, there was no doubt that it was the ethereal quintessence. Yu Miaoying's advancement to the fourth world immortal realm was no doubt a big deal for the Yu clan. Therefore, the treasure ship stopped in the void and waited for Yu Miaoying to complete her advancement. Half a month later, Yu Miaoying came out of the room. Her aura was no longer at the third world immortal realm, but at the fourth world immortal realm. Congratulations, Meow-een, for advancing to the fourth world immortal realm in one go. With such an improvement, you'll definitely soar to the sky in the Heavenly Ascension Assembly. Bayushu was the first to walk up to congratulate, his tone full of flattery. Thank you, Master Bai, for your compliment. I was lucky enough to reach the next level because of Senior Tianbao. Without his help, even if I cultivated in isolation for 10,000 years, I wouldn't have been able to break through so quickly. Yu Miaoyin smiled faintly. After that, she no longer paid any attention to the crowd and walked towards Su Fong's room. Yu Miaoyin's words shocked everyone. Activating a flying sword, he killed hundreds of ferocious dark space pirates instantly. At this moment, he even helped Yu Miaoyin to easily advance to the fourth realm of World Immortal. This heavenly treasure, Senior, was really unfathomable. The Yu clan is in luck this time. I hope Miao-een can seize the opportunity. Even if she has to be a maid in front of that heavenly treasure, Senior, it will bring the Yu clan a great opportunity. The old man from the Yu clan had an idea. He had unintentionally saved a dying person and did not expect it to bring such great benefits to the Yu clan. The Yu clan had really picked up a treasure. Looking at the room where Su Fong was staying, Bayushu's eyes were cold. Junior Yu Miaoyin greets Senior. Yu Miaoyin came to the door and spoke respectfully. Come in. Su Fong's indifferent voice came from inside the room. Yu Miaoyin's eyes were filled with surprise as she walked into the room with light steps. Su Fong flipped his hand and took out tens of thousands of supreme-grade Yin-Yang Immortal Sky Elixir. He shot out a Xianguang and sent it to Yu Miaoyin. This is Yin-Yang Immortal Sky Elixir, and it's a supreme-grade Yin-Yang Immortal Sky Elixir. Yu Miaoyin actually recognized the Yin-Yang Immortal Sky Elixir. That's right. This is Yin-Yang Immortal Sky Elixir. How do you recognize it? Su Fong asked in surprise. The Great Star Hall Chamber of Commerce has Yin-Yang Immortal Sky Elixir. However, the price is shockingly high. Apart from the upper echelons of World Palace, those core disciples and peerless geniuses are only occasionally rewarded with some. Senior gave me so many at once, and they're all supreme-grade elixirs. How can I accept it? Yu Miaoyin hurriedly declined. It's okay. I still have more Yin-Yang Immortal Sky Elixir. Su Fong waved his hand. Yin-Yang Immortal Sky Elixir came from him. He did not have any other branches. Why would he care about this? Yu Miaoyin kept the elixir happily. Her face was flushed with excitement as she rubbed her chest. Her heart could not take it after receiving such great benefits all of a sudden. Yu Miaoyin was a peerless beauty to begin with. Her current actions caused Su Fong's heart to thump wildly. In the end, it attracted a burst of ridicule from Law. Hee, why are you pretending to be a senior? You can only look but not eat such a great beauty. You deserve it. Su Fong had already learned to ignore Law's frivolity. He looked at Yu Miaoyin and said, dilute the Yin-Yang Immortal Sky Elixir with spiritual water and let Miao Mei consume it. After a year, I will find a way to cure her yang, terminating physique. Thank you, Senior Tianbao. Yu Miaoyin was overjoyed again. She was about to bow again when Su Fong waved his hand to stop her. Miss Yu, I have something to ask you. Hearing Su Fong's serious tone, Yu Miaoyin hurriedly answered, as long as it is something that I know, I will definitely tell you. Su Fong stared into Yu Miaoyin's eyes and said majestically, where did you get the ethereal, true enlightenment? Yu Miaoyin instantly looked as if she was struck by lightning. Her face turned pale, and she stood there in a daze, unable to speak for a long time. I don't know what the ethereal, true enlightenment is. I'm afraid that Senior is mistaken, Yu Miaoyin stammered. Su Fong smiled faintly and activated a wisp of ethereal true qi. After forming a seal, he controlled the spirit qi in the room and created a space of his own out of thin air. You, how do you know the ethereal primordial realm? Yu Miaoyin was shocked and looked at Su Fong in disbelief. Since you know about the ethereal primordial realm, it is obvious that your ethereal true enlightenment did not come from the immortal domain that I am from. In that immortal domain, there are many people who know about the ethereal true enlightenment. There are also many people who have mastered the ethereal true enlightenment's ethereal all laws Tao. However, I'm the only one who has mastered the ethereal primordial realm. That is because the ethereal primordial realm is an exceptional divine ability that I have comprehended from the ethereal true enlightenment. Furthermore, the ethereal primordial realm that you have used has a kind of specious feeling. It is obvious that you did not comprehend it on your own. Instead, you obtained the ethereal primordial realm that others comprehended from ancient records. You have only scratched the surface after cultivating. Either your clan is related to the ethereal spiritual master or his successor, or you have obtained an ancient record that recorded the ethereal primordial realm. According to my judgment, the former is more likely. Su Fang's words caused Yu Miaoyin to fall into intense shock once again. The Yu clan's ancestor left behind a message that the ethereal true enlightenment is not to be divulged to outsiders. Please redeem this junior for not informing you. Yu Miaoyin knelt on the ground, waiting for Su Fang to unleash his wrath of thunder. Unexpectedly, Su Fang said indifferently, "Back then, the human emperor cultivated the ethereal true enlightenment and comprehended the ethereal all laws Tao's ethereal all laws Tao. In the end, he brought about a fatal disaster. The Yu clan possesses the secret of the ethereal true enlightenment. Naturally, it is strictly guarded and must not be divulged to prevent the Yu clan from being annihilated. I can understand this. Furthermore, I have great respect for the ethereal spiritual master who created the ethereal true enlightenment. Naturally, I will not make things difficult for those related to him. Since you are not willing to tell me, I will not force you. Go." Yu Miaoyin looked at Su Fang in astonishment. For a supreme divine ability, even those supreme experts who were usually high and mighty would instantly bare their ferocious fangs and not hesitate to use ruthless methods to snatch it. Yu Miaoyin originally thought that Su Fang would definitely interrogate her, or even annihilate the entire Yu clan. It was not impossible for him to do so. She did not expect that he would let her off so easily. How could Yu Miaoyin not be surprised? Many thanks for senior's understanding. This junior will take her leave. Yu Miaoyin left the room gratefully. At this moment, Luo Zai said, "What? Your heart softened? You might be able to obtain clues about the 10,000 manifestations heavenly dharma from the Yu clan. Yet, you let go of such a great opportunity. Once again, you have proven your lustful nature. The 10,000 manifestations heavenly dharma. It possessed the ability to condense matter in the chaos and transform it into reality. According to the ethereal spiritual master, the 10,000 manifestations heavenly dharma was his life's work. It was able to absorb the mysterious matter from the chaotic galaxy in the depths of the void and finally build a planet in a vast void. Su Fang had always wanted to find the 10,000 manifestations heavenly dharma from the small world to the large world. However, he could not find any clues. Moreover, the ability of the 10,000 manifestations heavenly dharma allowed Su Fang to have a deeper understanding of the Tao of illusion and reality. It was of great help to the cultivation of his own world. This time, he had undoubtedly discovered the Yu clan secret. However, it was a pity to let it go just like that. Su Fang said indifferently, "I already have many supreme treasures in my hands. Why should I force other people's treasures? What's mine will eventually be mine. If it's not mine, I won't be able to get it even if I force it." Luo Zai became serious. "Your state of mind is so open-minded. I have a whole new level of respect for you. You're right. On the path of cultivation, you must give your all for what you should fight for. If you force something you shouldn't, it will instead harm your own fate." That mysterious heavenly treasure senior not only knows that the Yu clan has the true enlightenment of ethereal, but he also cultivates the true enlightenment of ethereal himself. He even controls the ethereal primordial realm. Hearing Yu Miaoyin's words, the Yu clan's elder was shocked. He trembled as if doomsday had arrived. Yu Miaoyin persuaded him. "Clan leader, don't worry. Heavenly Treasure Senior has no intention of coveting the Yu clan's true enlightenment of ethereal. The human heart is unpredictable. Who can know his true thoughts?" The Yu clan's elder shook his head. His face was full of worry. After a moment of contemplation, the Yu clan's elder's eyes suddenly lit up. There's a way. If Heavenly Treasure Senior becomes one of us, we won't have to worry about him knowing the secret of the Yu clan's true enlightenment of ethereal. That's right, this is the way. One of us. Yu Miaoyin was stunned at first. Then she blushed. Heavenly Treasure Senior is unfathomable. He must be an immortal emperor expert who has cultivated for millions of years. Although he's a little old, it won't be a disgrace for you to marry him. Yu Miaoyin said faintly. Even if I have feelings for him, he's heartless. The Yu clan's elder revealed a cunning smile. It's easy for a man to chase a woman. It's easy for a woman to chase a man. Miaoyin, as long as you have the courage, why don't you have to worry about not being able to pull Heavenly Treasure into our Yu clan? =_ our download address. Mobile reading, book review. Chapter 1487. Inside a room at one end of the ship. AP Yu Miaoyin, you bitch. You wasted all my efforts on you, and now you're giving it to that piece of trash of unknown origin. Bai Yushu gritted his teeth, and his handsome face turned ferocious. Suddenly, Bai Yushu formed a hand seal with a vicious expression, and a middle-aged man's nascent spirit appeared from a Xianguan. The middle-aged man's nascent spirit spoke with a majestic voice. Yushu, what's the matter? Bai Yushu's tone was sharp. Uncle, I need you to kill someone. Haven't you been pestering that girl in the Yu family all day? What kind of person would need me to personally kill? Could it be that you're jealous of someone? How can I kill someone like that? I didn't get close to the Yu family for Yu Miaoyin, but for a shocking secret of the Yu family. I accidentally found out from an ancient record that the ethereal spiritual master's surname is Yu. The ethereal true scripture. The eyes of the middle-aged man's nascent spirit shone with a terrifying light. That's right. I can confirm that the Yu family is the ethereal spiritual master's descendant. After this is done, I'll give you a share of the ethereal true scripture and the ethereal spiritual master's inheritance. How about it? Who did you tell this secret to? No matter how stupid I am, I wouldn't be so stupid as to tell others such a secret. Apart from you, I didn't even tell my father. That's great. I'll be there soon. The middle-aged man's nascent spirit disappeared. Bai Yushu's lips curled into a sinister smile. Tianbao, let's see how you're going to fight over my woman with my uncle. The Yu family ship flew back to the Heaven, Dao, immortal world. True Dragon Realm. In the cultivation dojo, the blood water that was more than 3,000 feet long became as turbulent and vast as before. It burned with the flames of life. Whoosh! Su Fang's true body condensed in the bloody water. My physical body, meridians, and life aura have all recovered to their peak state. My golden core of origin and Tao Palace of heaven and earth have also recovered a lot. Su Fang muttered to himself with a joyful expression. To be able to recover to such an extent in less than half a year after receiving such devastating injuries, it could be said to be heaven-defying. Apart from the perfect physical body, the Black Lotus true body, and the dragon-subduing true body, there was another important reason. That was Emperor Tianbao's great Tao of refining. It was because he had comprehended the great Tao of refining that Su Fang's physical body and heaven and earth Tao Palace became more stable and could withstand the power of Jixing immortal venerable self-explosion. It was also because of this that Su Fang was able to rapidly reconstruct his body and meridians. Even his golden core, origin, and the Tao Palace of the heavens and earth had mostly recovered. There are still some cracks on the golden core of origin, and the heaven and earth Tao Palace has yet to fully recover. It's impossible for a new Yang meridian to be born anytime soon. The damage to the golden core of origin can be quickly healed by devouring the true qi, golden cores, or spirit items of other experts. The heaven and earth Tao Palace is a little problematic. My own world hasn't been formed and it has been shaken. If I don't recover in time, it will affect my cultivation foundations. The damage to the heaven and earth Tao Palace made Su Fang's heart heavy. I wonder what's the situation with my second primordial spirit. Su Fang was also very worried about his second primordial spirit. Buzz, his great perfection stage ability, sensed that an extremely powerful sensing force had swept past the treasure ship. This person's cultivation base is at least at the 7 Dao Saint Immortal realm. No wonder he dares to sense the Yu family's treasured ship so brazenly. Although a Saint Immortal realm cultivator was not considered a pinnacle existence in the central celestial domain, they were still considered a peerless expert. Now that a Saint Immortal realm expert had suddenly appeared and sensed the treasured ship, Su Fong was instantly alerted. Then, Su Fong sensed a cultivator breaking through the air and appearing more than 100 miles in front of the treasured ship. He stood with his hands behind his back. It was a man wearing a black mask. He was wearing the attire of the Black Star Pirates. There's an expert from the Black Star Pirates ahead. Be prepared. Su Fong did not take the mere 7 Dao Saint Immortal Realm expert to heart. He sent a warning to Yu Miaoyin through his nascent spirit. Then, Su Fong walked out of the room and came to the bow of the ship. The members of the Yu family all gathered behind Su Fong. With a peerless expert like Senior Tianbao around, they were no longer as panicked as before. Even Yu Miaomei came out to watch the show. However, when the expert from the Black Star Pirates appeared in their line of sight, the old man from the Yu family sensed that this person's aura was incorporeal. He could not see through this person's cultivation base. A Saint Immortal Realm expert. This person is a Saint Immortal Realm expert. Could it be that he's the legendary and mysterious Crow Star Bandits? The exclamation of the old man from the Yu family made everyone nervous. They all looked at Su Fong. Bai Yushu mocked from the side. Don't worry. With Senior Tianbao around, even a legendary celestial venerable expert would be easily crushed, let alone a mere celestial emperor. Suddenly, Su Fong raised his eyebrows and glanced at Bai Yushu. Bai Yushu felt a chill in his heart, but his face remained calm. Yu family member, how dare you kill my subordinates? Die. The expert from the Black Star Pirates said coldly. Then, like a gust of wind, he flew over with an ethereal aura. It was as though he had become one with the heavens and the earth. He charged towards the treasured ship with a majestic aura of nature. The Black Star Pirates actually have such an imposing aura. That's really unexpected. Su Fong raised the corner of his mouth and mocked. It turned out that Su Fong had already sensed the aura of this expert from the Black Star Pirates was very similar to Bai Yushu's. It was obvious that this 7 Dao Saint Immortal Realm Celestial Emperor expert was not a Black Star Pirate. He was an expert from the family that Bai Yushu had hired to kill Su Fong. Senior Tianbao, do you want to activate the treasured ship's defensive array? The old man from the Yu family looked at Su Fong with a trembling voice. He was intimidated by the aura of the expert from the Bai family impersonating the Black Star Pirates. Whoosh, Su Fong stepped out from the bow of the ship and charged towards the Black Star Pirates with a domineering aura. You think you can defeat me just because you can kill a realm celestial with one punch? I'll let you know what a celestial emperor is like. Wu Xingdao quickly made a series of hand seals, then grabbed at the void. In an instant, all the aura in the heavens and the earth was controlled by him. It formed a turbulent wave that pressed down on Su Fong. However, Su Fong was like a battleship that broke through the waves. He tore apart the aura of nature and charged towards the expert from the Bai family. So, you're a cultivator who cultivates the physical body. You're quite extraordinary. The expert from the Bai family clenched his fist. Although his aura was not very powerful, it gave off a feeling that it could destroy everything. Bam! Their fists collided and caused a huge explosion. Boom! 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 The expert from the Bai family was pushed back dozens of feet. His aura was also shattered. On the other hand, Su Fong was pushed back hundreds of feet. He was at a disadvantage. Interesting. It was Su Fong's first time fighting with a celestial emperor from the central celestial domain. He did not use his full strength, nor did he use any divine abilities. It was not surprising that he was at a disadvantage. What surprised Su Fong was that the expert from the Bai family was much stronger than the 7 Dao Saint Immortals from the celestial domain he was in. Aside from the cultivation methods and divine abilities, The main reason was that the celestial domain was located in the central celestial domain of the great world. The natural spirit chi of heaven and earth was much more abundant than the celestial domain that Su Fong was in. Therefore, the true chi of the cultivators here was much more vigorous. They extracted essence from the heavens and earth and borrowed energy from the stars. Their divine abilities were much more powerful. The expert from the Bai family said disdainfully, "I thought you were some peerless expert, so you're so weak. I heard that you used a peerless profound sword to kill more than 100 of my subordinates. Why don't you take out your flying sword? I have a few peerless Tao artifacts, but you're not qualified for me to use them. A low-grade flying sword is enough to deal with you." Swoosh! Swoosh! Su Fong shot out more than a dozen low-grade flying swords in one breath. You're actually able to control more than a dozen low-grade flying swords at the same time. You're really something. However, don't you think you can deal with me with these pieces of scrap metal? The expert from the Bai family sneered. Are more than a dozen not enough? Su Fong smiled indifferently and shot out more than 100 flying swords. They formed a river of sword chi that rushed toward the expert from the Bai family. The expert from the Bai family's eyes changed. He flipped his hand and took out a feather fan. After activating it, a green Xian Guang bloomed. It was a peak supreme grade Tao artifact. The feather fan gently fanned at Su Fong, setting off a torrential gale that was formed by the natural energy. It was like a raging tide. Looks like the flying swords aren't enough. Swoosh! Swoosh! 1,000 flying swords? The eyes of the Bai family's experts were filled with shock. Unbelievable. It was the first time the cultivators from the Yu family had seen. No, they had never even heard of a cultivator who could control so many flying swords at the same time. Moreover, these flying swords were not simply shot out randomly. Instead, each flying sword was activated to the extreme. The sword chi condensed into a river of swords, forming a terrifying divine power that was even more shocking than a peak supreme grade Tao artifact. What kind of amazing control ability did this require? As for Bai Yushu, his face was originally full of pride. However, after seeing this scene, his face turned pale. In an instant, the terrifying aura of the expert from the Bai family's feather fan was torn apart by the river of swords. The expert from the Bai family was instantly engulfed by the river of swords. The powerful aura defense of a sane immortal expert was instantly shattered like paper. Then, his body was minced into meat paste by the sharp sword chi. The treasure ship fell into a dead silence. Su Fong strolled leisurely and arrived at the place where the expert from the Bai family died. After forming a seal, he activated the ethereal primordial realm's divine power and gathered all the chi and blood of the expert from the Bai family. He condensed them into a fist-sized blood bead and absorbed them into his body with a wave of his hand. Su Fong did not even let go of the shattered golden core. These were all good cultivation resources. Unfortunately, they were only at the 7 Tao Saint Immortal realm. They were not very useful for Su Fong to recover his golden core origin. However, no matter how small a mosquito was, it was still meat. He could only make do with them for now. The cultivators from the Yu family on the treasure ship were shocked when they saw this scene. Senior Heavenly Treasure did not collect the golden core and blood essence of cultivators for fun. Only evil and demonic cultivators would devour the golden core and blood essence of cultivators to cultivate. Could Senior Heavenly Treasure be an evil cultivator? Bai Yushu was scared out of his wits. His body trembled uncontrollably, and his back was drenched in sweat. == our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1488. Under everyone's respectful gazes, Su Fong calmly returned to the ship. Celestial treasure, how can you control so many flying swords at the same time? Yu Miaomei couldn't help but ask. Out of everyone, only she dared to be so casual in front of Su Fong. My name is Celestial Treasure. I was born with the ability to control magic treasures. Su Fong smiled. So that's how it is. Everyone was enlightened. Such an ability was truly heaven-defying. Yu Miaomei wanted to get to the bottom of this. Then why did you collect that bad guy's golden core and essence blood? I have a habit. After killing my enemies, I will feed their corpses to my subordinates, Big Goblin. Su Fong's words made everyone sigh in relief. As he said this, Su Fong glanced at Bai Yushu, intentionally or unintentionally. Bai Yushu's heart palpitated again, and cold sweat appeared on his forehead. Su Fong looked at Bai Yushu and said with a half-smile, "Is young Master Bai sick?" Bai Yushu quickly said, "Junior is a world immortal cultivator. How can I be sick?" "Thank you, Senior, for your concern. I just saw Senior kill Immortal Emperor Wu Xingzhu and felt my blood boil. That's why I'm sweating all over." "Is that so?" Su Fong smiled indifferently and left in embarrassment. Looking at Su Fong's back, Bai Yushu let out a sigh of relief. Then hatred and viciousness appeared in his eyes. Bai Yushu didn't know that Su Fong didn't expose him because he wanted him to attract more experts to deliver better golden cores. This way, his golden core origin could recover faster. Several days later, the ship finally arrived at the Heaven Dao Immortal World. In the Heaven Dao Immortal World, Tianxia Palace was the dominant force. The Immortal World and the surrounding material planes were all under Tianxia Palace's influence. The ship was blocked by a huge barrier outside the Heaven Dao Immortal World. It had to go through strict checks before entering the Immortal World. It was the Heaven Ascension Conference, a grand event that only happened once every million years. All the geniuses from the Heaven Dao Immortal World and the surrounding immortal worlds had gathered. Countless cultivators lined up at the entrance of the Heaven Dao Immortal World. The Yu family's ship stopped in the distance. After everyone on the ship had left, the Yu family's old man put away the ship and flew towards the barrier's entrance. At this moment, a group of cultivators walked out of the barrier. The person who spoke was a young man who looked to be in his early 20s. He wore a yellow robe and had an aura of nothingness. He had an aura of calmness and loftiness that didn't exist for his age. There were more than a dozen cultivators following behind the young man. They were all young geniuses in yellow robes, but their auras were clearly much weaker than the young man in front of them. The moment these people appeared, the World Palace cultivators guarding the barrier immediately bowed respectfully. The others also revealed a look of reverence, and no one dared to make a ruckus. "Senior, these are all core disciples of the Heaven Dao Immortal World. The youth in the lead is a special disciple called Jun Moyen. He's a rare, peerless genius in the Heaven Dao Immortal World." Yu Miaoing introduced to Su Fong in a low voice. Her tone was filled with respect. Su Fong unleashed his great perfection ability. His gaze traversed a distance of 10 miles, and he could clearly see the aura of those people. Jun Moyen can't have cultivated for more than 1,000,000 years at such a young age. His cultivation has reached the 3 paths of saint and immortal. He's indeed a peerless genius. Strange, the auras of the Heaven Dao Immortal World Palace's disciples are similar to the Heaven Dao Immortal World Palaces. Is the Heaven Dao Immortal World Palace a branch of the Heaven Dao Immortal World Palace? This caused Su Fong to be bewildered, and he speculated in his heart. The Heaven Dao Immortal World Palace represented the heavens and ruled the fate of all living beings. They controlled the heavens and naturally emitted the will of the heavens. The Heaven Dao Immortal World Palace's core disciples also had such an aura. They clearly had a deep relationship with the Heaven Dao Immortal World Palace. "Yushu, why aren't you coming over?" A Heaven Dao Immortal World Palace core disciple behind Jun Moyen waved his hand. "This is my clan brother, Bai Yufei. He's a peerless genius of the Heaven Dao Immortal World Palace. Miaoing, I'll introduce you to them. You'll be well taken care of at the Heaven Ascension Assembly." Bai Yushu immediately puffed up his chest and looked very high-spirited. Yu Miaoing glanced at Su Fong. Seeing that Su Fong didn't have any intention of making friends with the Heaven Dao Immortal World Palace's cultivators, she shook her head and said, "Thank you for your kindness, young Master Bai. I won't be going over." Bai Yushu's face instantly darkened. His sharp gaze swept over Su Fong, and then he flew over to the other side. After a while, Bai Yushu actually brought a dozen Heaven Dao Immortal World Palace's disciples over. Yu Miaoying and the rest of the Yu clan seemed to have realized that these people didn't come with good intentions and immediately became nervous. Su Fong sneered in his heart. These Heaven Dao, Immortal World Palace's disciples must be the reinforcements that Bai Yushu brought over. To be able to invite the Heaven Dao, Immortal World's special disciples, the Bai clan's power in the Heaven Dao, Immortal World is indeed not small. It's far beyond the Yu clan. Yu Miaoying? A Heaven Dao, Immortal World Palace's core disciple looked down at Yu Miaoying and spoke with a majestic voice. This person was Bai Yushu's clan brother, Bai Yufei. He had a handsome appearance and was somewhat similar to Bai Yushu. His cultivation base was also extraordinary. He had reached the peak of the 9th Dao, Immortal Realm, and was a peak Immortal Emperor. To have such shocking achievements at such a young age, he could be considered as a genius. Without waiting for Yu Miaoying to speak, Bai Yufei nodded and said, "Not bad. With such appearance and talent, you're indeed worthy of Bai Yushu. You're qualified to be his Dao companion. When we reach the king city of the Heaven Dao Immortal World, I'll make the decision on behalf of Yushu. Both of you can hold the dual cultivation ceremony." Su Fong raised the corner of his mouth and revealed a cold smile. Everyone in the Yu clan was shocked and stunned. Yu Miaoying quickly denied. "Lord, you must have misunderstood. I have no intention of becoming Dao companions with young Master Bai Yushu. Could it be that you're looking down on my Bai clan? It's your fortune that Yushu has taken a liking to you. How dare you not appreciate his kindness? When did I ask for your opinion? No matter if you're willing to become Yushu's Dao companion or not, if I say you are, then you must be." Bai Yufei raised his eyebrows and spoke domineeringly. A formless pressure surged out from him. Bai Yufei was at the peak of the world Immortal Realm. Moreover, his aura contained the will of the heavenly Dao. The strongest in the Yu clan was only at the 9th Dao Immortal Realm. Instantly, everyone trembled. Bai Yufei looked at the Yu clan members who were like ants. His eyes were filled with pride. Bai Yushu's face was also filled with joy. However, when he saw Su Fong standing there calmly, his eyes suddenly turned sharp. He transmitted his voice to Bai Yufei, "Clan brother, it's this person who killed Uncle." Divine light rolled around Su Fong's body. Bai Yufei's eyes were filled with killing intent. "I can't see through this person's cultivation base. He's indeed a hidden expert. However, killing the experts of my Bai clan is a capital offense. Even if he's at the peak of the Immortal Emperor realm, let's see what he can do in front of the World Palace." Bai Yufei pointed at Su Fong and shouted coldly, "This person is an evil cultivator. He tried to sneak into the Heaven Dao Immortal World's King City and ruin the Heaven Ascension Conference. Men, take him down and interrogate him." Swoosh! Swoosh! Immediately, hundreds of World Palace cultivators surrounded Su Fong and the Yu clan members. Some cultivators who came to participate in the Heaven Ascension Conference saw a chance to curry favor with the core disciples of the World Palace. Su Fong and the Yu clan members were like weak chickens surrounded by a group of ferocious beasts. They could be easily killed. Yu Miaoying was shocked and angry. "Bai Yushu, I misjudged you. I didn't expect you to be such a shameless person." Bai Yushu smiled proudly. "Miaoying, don't blame me wrongly. This evil cultivator has evil intentions towards you. I'm saving you. Immediately bring the Yu clan members to the side to avoid being injured." Su Fong waved his hand at Yu Miaoying and said, "Bring Miao Mei to the side." Yu Miaoying knew that with her strength, not only would she not be of any help, she would also be a burden to Su Fong. Therefore, she brought the Yu clan members to the side. No one stopped them. Su Fong was alone in the middle of the encirclement. He was like a tiny ant. However, he stood with his hands behind his back, looking calm. Although he did not deliberately release any aura, the aura of a peerless expert arose spontaneously. For a moment, no one took the initiative to step forward. The special disciple of the World Palace, named Jun Moyen, sized up Su Fong and said, "I think you're not an ordinary person. However, with me here, you can't escape. Why don't you surrender and wait for your identity and origin to be clear? If you're not an evil cultivator, The World Palace will naturally not wrongly accuse you for no reason. Su Fong had killed a 7 Dao Saint Immortal expert from the Bai clan, while Jun Moyan was only a 3 Dao Saint Immortal expert. At this moment, he looked as if he could defeat Su Fong. Obviously, Bai Yufei did not tell Jun Moyan about Su Fong's strength. He wanted Su Fong to kill Jun Moyan and cause the World Palace to hunt him down. This showed how ruthless this person was. Suddenly, an old voice suddenly sounded. "This person is mine. Geniuses of the World Palace, can you give me some face?" As soon as the voice sounded, an old man in a black robe appeared out of thin air. Not only was this old man in a black robe, but his head was also hidden in a black cloak. As soon as he appeared, the surrounding light suddenly dimmed. It was as if all the light was absorbed by him. He gave off a mysterious and strange feeling. Jun Moyan's pupils constricted. He shouted coldly, "Who are you? Do you know that this is the Heaven Dao Immortal World of the World Palace? This is outside the Heaven Dao Immortal World. Even the World Palace can't control this place." The black-robed man, let out a sinister laugh. "Little guy from the World Palace, give me some face. I'll give you some benefits in the future. Then, the black-robed old man transmitted his voice to Jun Moyan with his primordial spirit. After knowing the black-robed man's identity, Jun Moyan's eyes instantly changed. "Everyone retreat." Jun Moyan waved his hand, and the people of the World Palace retreated. Although the other cultivators were confused, they had no choice but to retreat far away. After retreating 10 miles away, Bai Yufei could not help but ask, "Who is this person?" Jun Moyan revealed a fearful expression and replied with his primordial spirit, "The mysterious leader of the Black Star Pirates, the black-robed old immortal." Hiss! Bai Yufei sucked in a cold breath. Then he looked at Su Fong gloatingly. "You actually offended the Black Star Pirates. You really don't know what's good for you. Let's see how you'll die this time." =_ our download address. Mobile reading, bibliography. Chapter 1489. Holy Locust Black Cloak. Brother, although I've heard of the black-cloaked old immortal's ferocious name, I don't know how strong he is. Tian Bao was born with the heaven-defying ability to control magic treasures. His divine strength is unparalleled. I saw him kill Uncle with my own eyes. He used thousands of flying swords at once. It was a terrifying scene. The black-cloaked old immortal might not be his match. Bai Yushu was still worried. The scene of Su Fong killing the Bai family's experts was too shocking. He still had lingering fears. "Yushu, are you scared out of your wits?" Outsiders only know the black-cloaked old immortal's name, but not his background. But World Palace knows everything about him. This person has dominated the Heaven Dao Immortal World for millions of years. Not only has his strength reached the 9th Dao Saint realm, he also has peerless divine abilities and Dao artifacts. He has even killed several peak 9th Dao Saint realm experts. The black-cloaked old immortal is not only vicious, he is also very cunning. He has escaped the pursuit of celestial venerables many times. Such a ferocious bandit. Unless he is a celestial venerate expert, he will definitely die. Bai Yushu was shocked by Bai Yufei's words. The black-cloaked old immortal is actually so strong. Bai Yufei snorted. "I originally planned to provoke a conflict between Tian Bao and World Palace, then use World Palace's power to kill him. I didn't expect the black-cloaked old immortal to appear halfway. I don't even need to do anything. He will definitely die." He glanced at Yuan. Bai Yufei smiled. "Yushu, I've helped you so much this time. How will you repay me when you get the beauty?" Bai Yushu cupped his fists. "I will definitely repay your kindness. When I get Yuan, all of you family's resources will belong to you." So Yushu is a genius who loves beauties and not wealth. Bai Yufei laughed wantonly. Everyone in Yu family was worried about Su Fong. If Su Fong won, Yu family might be able to get through this crisis. If Su Fong lost, Yu Mei was probably the only one who had complete confidence in Su Fong. "All of you, don't worry. Celestial will definitely kill that big bad guy." Everyone from the Yu family smiled bitterly. Defeat the black-clothed old immortal? Unless the heavenly treasure was a legendary venerable immortal. The black-clothed old immortal's cold gaze swept over Su Fong's body, and he said fiercely, "A cultivator of the fleshly body at the peak? No wonder he could kill so many of my subordinates in one go. He is indeed extraordinary. I can use your blood essence to refine a supreme Tao artifact." Su Fong naturally scoffed at the black-clothed old immortal. He had even killed immortal exalts and devil exalts, so why would he care about a ninth saint immortal? In Su Fong's eyes, there was a hint of disappointment. The black-clothed old immortal was only at the ninth Tao, saint immortal realm. Even if he swallowed his golden core, it wouldn't be of much use. This made Su Fong very disappointed. Su Fong's undisguised contempt infuriated the black-clothed old immortal. He had been famous in the Heaven Tao immortal world and the surrounding immortal worlds for millions of years. Which cultivator below the immortal venerable level wouldn't tremble in fear when they heard his name? Now that he was being ignored by a fleshly body cultivator, how could the black-robed old immortal not be angry? "Arrogant junior, prepare to die. I will make you regret being born into this world." Black robes cover the sky. Boom! The black-clothed old immortal suddenly burst out with a monstrous aura, creating a personal space within 10 miles of the Su Fong. This was because the black-clothed old immortal didn't want to cause too much a commotion and attract the true peerless experts of World Palace. Otherwise, his self-space could cover close to 10,000 miles. In an instant, Su Fong felt as if the surrounding void was covered by a huge Taoist robe. Astonishing shackling power surged from all directions, wanting to swallow him up. What a strange ability! But who can cover the sky of our Su Fong? Su Fong smiled domineeringly. Whoosh! Whoosh! Over 1,000 flying swords swept out majestically. The sword river surged, tearing apart the self-space created by the black-robed old immortal layer by layer until it finally collapsed. Thousands of flying swords. What a terrifying ability to control thousands of flying swords at the same time. There was a wave of exclamations from the surrounding crowd. Jun Moyen and the other disciples of World Palace were all surprised and shocked. Which one of them wasn't a peerless genius of heaven, Tao, immortal world? But at this moment, they all had the thought of, "I'm not as good as him." The black-clothed old immortal's aura weakened a little when his ability was broken. His eyes were filled with shock as he said gloomily, "I've never seen such an ability to control a Dharma treasure in my life. I've underestimated you. You won't have any chance now." Boom, boom, boom. The black-clothed old immortal's black robe suddenly peeled off layer by layer, turning into tens of thousands of black robes in an instant. They gathered together and formed a black mass, like a group of ghosts descending. It made one's scalp tingle. The black-clothed old immortal's figure flashed and disappeared into the black robes. My supreme Taoist artifact, Sacred Black Robe, can allow me to split into tens of thousands of clones. Any one of my clones is not only immune to divine abilities and Taoist artifacts, but also has the ability to devour cultivators' blood essence. Junior, no matter how many flying swords you control, you won't be able to escape the fate of being devoured by my supreme Taoist artifact. Then, the black-clothed old immortal's proud voice sounded from every black robe. Sacred Black Robe? What a strange Taoist artifact. No, it's not a Taoist artifact. There's a demonic chi in it. It seems to be a spirit treasure made from what elements spiritual items. Su Fong scanned with his perfection stage ability and felt the demonic chi in the black robes. He couldn't help but be surprised. Junior, you should be proud that you can force me to use the Sacred Black Robe, to be devoured by the Sacred Black Robe, and become the nutrients for my supreme Taoist artifact is also your supreme glory. The black-clothed old immortal was very proud as his sinister laughter spread everywhere. Tens of thousands of black robes surged towards Su Fong like a tide. Such a scene was terrifying. Go! A mysterious purple chi lingered around Su Fong's body. Thousands of flying swords burst out with monstrous sword chi. Chi, chi, chi. The flying swords and the black robes clashed in the void but didn't collide. The flying swords hit the black robes and tore them apart before piercing through them. In the next moment, the black robes that were riddled with holes actually recovered with a surge of black chi. They were completely undamaged. How can my sacred black robe be blocked by your low-grade flying swords? Junior, just wait for your blood essence to be devoured. The black robes let out terrifying laughter. The black-clothed old immortal actually has such a shocking supreme Taoist artifact. I'm afraid it's already at the peak of supreme grade. It's the legendary King Grade Taoist artifact. This is the first time I've heard of a Taoist artifact that can devour cultivators. With such a Taoist artifact, it's no wonder that the black-clothed old immortal was able to roam the Heaven Dao immortal world for millions of years. Even immortal supremacies couldn't do anything to him. The World Palace disciples knew the black-clothed old immortal's true identity and were all shocked. The Black Star pirate leader that had been famous for millions of years was indeed extremely powerful. Even a peerless expert at the peak of the Nine Dao realm of the Saint Immortal realm wouldn't be able to fight against him without powerful abilities or Taoist artifacts. Su Fong peeled off a young immortal and entered the purple chi space deep in his body. Zi, can you control this Taoist artifact called the Sacred Black Robe? The purple light in the purple chi space flickered and the primordial spirit's voice sounded. Master, Zi can't do it. Why? The purple chi dharma spirit could even control an ordinary divine artifact, but couldn't do anything to a Taoist artifact. Master, the so-called Sacred Black Robe isn't a Taoist artifact or a spiritual treasure. It's a part of a tree demon's body. Therefore, Zi can't do anything about it. A part of a tree demon's body. Su Fong pushed his perfected sensing ability to the extreme. At the same time, he used the Heaven's Secret Life shrinking technique to sense the black robes. I see. With his powerful sensing ability, Su Fong finally saw through the black-clothed old immortal's background. His eyes were filled with shock, followed by a sharp glint. Huff, in the blink of an eye, tens of thousands of black robes swarmed towards Su Fong and attached themselves to Su Fong's body. It was as if Su Fong was wearing layers of clothes in an instant. Seeing Su Fong being swallowed by the black robes, the black-clothed old immortal was very pleased. The black robes laughed crazily and rushed towards Su Fong even more crazily. This person is dead for sure. What kind of person is the black-clothed old immortal? He even has such a strange and evil supreme Taoist artifact. This person is just a physical cultivator. How can he be a match for the black-clothed old immortal? The World Palace disciples discussed animatedly. They were all shocked by the black-clothed old immortal's Taoist artifact and thought that Su Fong was dead for sure. Senior Heavenly Treasure was actually swallowed by the black-clothed old immortal's Taoist artifact. The Yu family members fell into despair. Impossible! Heavenly Treasure can't die like this. Yume couldn't help but cry loudly. Su Fong only felt that after the black robes attached themselves to him, they immediately extended out thin threads the size of heads and greedily and crazily absorbed the life essence. You want to swallow my Su Fong? Yellow Spring Blood Sea. Su Fong sneered in his heart. The ability he was best at was swallowing everything. Now, he was actually being swallowed by someone. Wasn't that laughable? Whoosh. On the surface, Su Fong didn't seem to be abnormal. In fact, his flesh, meridians, and bones were all broken and turned into blood water. Yellow Spring Blood Sea. The blood water crazily flowed in his body, forming a terrifying swallowing power. Although it wasn't as big as Su Fong's 3,000 feet Blood Sea, how shocking was the swallowing power of the Yellow Spring Blood Sea. At the same time, Su Fong activated the dragon, subduing True Body's ability, and swallowed and fused with the black robes. Strands of extremely pure wood-type essence, which was slightly inferior to the wood-type essence of the coiled dragon wood, were very abundant. They were swallowed by the blood water and the dragon subduing True Body, becoming nutrients for the dragon subduing True Body. The dragon's subduing true body, which hadn't completely recovered bit by bit after obtaining the wood-type essence. Su Fong was pleasantly surprised. The black robes attached themselves to Su Fong's body and looked like they were swallowing Su Fong. No one would have thought that it wasn't the black robes swallowing Su Fong, but Su Fong swallowing the black robes. =_R download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1490. Suddenly, the black-clothed old immortal exclaimed in disbelief. How is this possible? Junior, what are you doing? =N_R. Stop it now. It turned out that the black-clothed old immortal had also noticed that the black robes were being devoured by Su Fong. His voice was filled with shock and fear. Su Fong's faint voice sounded from the black robes. Didn't you want to devour me? Then I'll let you devour as much as you want. Whoosh, the underworld blood sea roared crazily in his body. At the same time, Gue also transformed into blood water and activated the power of samsara. The wood elemental ability of Xianhuang's Six Paths Pagoda was also fully activated by Su Fong, causing Su Fong's devouring and corroding ability to nearly double. The layers of black robes attached to Su Fong's body wanted to escape from Su Fong's body in horror. However, under Su Fong's devouring and reincarnation power, the black robes could not escape no matter how hard they struggled. They were sucked into the blood water in his body and were quickly devoured and fused. After Su Fong was severely injured last time, many of the blood threads of the dragon's subduing true body had withered and even withered. After devouring the wood elemental essence of the black-clothed old immortal's black robes, the blood threads of the dragon subduing true body grew crazily. The withered parts quickly recovered and were full of vitality again. Unexpectedly. It was really unexpected. Su Fong originally thought that the black-clothed old immortal was just a ninth Dao Saint Immortal and would not be of much help to his recovery. He did not expect that it would bring such great benefits. Su Fong could not help but be surprised and happy. He wished he could devour the black-clothed old immortal's true body as well. Boom! A black robe burst out with a shocking demonic aura and broke free from Su Fong's body. This black robe was the black-clothed old immortal's true body. He had fused with the black robes and was almost devoured by Su Fong. Junior, you have angered me. Then I'll let you see my true divine ability. Hee, not only you, but everyone will die. The black-clothed old immortal roared angrily. His body suddenly expanded wildly. Then, it quickly turned into a huge black tree that was thousands of feet tall. It had sharp black xianguang leaves and branches that danced wildly like tentacles. The bark of the tree was full of scars. Green liquid flowed out of them, as if they were being peeled off piece by piece. The black-clothed old immortal was actually a tree demon. His true form was a black locust tree that had grown for countless years. He did not know how long he had cultivated and devoured the life force of cultivators. Not only fused with the cultivators' body, but his demonic aura was also almost completely. It made it difficult for Su Fong's ability to sense him. The so-called Supreme Tao artifact, the sacred locust black robe, was merely a divine ability executed by his black locust demon body, while the black robes were transformed from pieces of his tree bark. This was the reason why the purple Chi Dharma spirit could not defeat him. Although it could be the artifact spirit of a divine artifact, it could not defeat a tree demon whose strength was comparable to a 9 Dao Saint Immortal. At this moment, more than half of the black robes were devoured by Su Fong. The black-clothed old immortal's vitality was greatly damaged. He had no choice but to transform into his demon form to escape. Everyone thought that Su Fong was dead for sure. Who knew the situation would suddenly change? Then, the black-clothed old immortal transformed into a terrifying tree demon. Everyone was stunned. Come back! The black-clothed old immortal's painful and angry roar came from the tree demon's trunk. The black robes that were sucked in by Su Fong quickly flew back, turning into pieces of bark and fusing with the tree trunk. More than 10,000 black robes were equivalent to more than 10,000 pieces of tree bark. Su Fong had devoured 7,000 to 8,000 of them in one go. The tree trunk was covered in scars. It was a ghastly sight. Damn human. You made me suffer a loss I haven't suffered in thousands of years. I'll suck you dry. The black-clothed old immortal roared again when he saw the heavy losses. Run. The black-clothed old immortal exposed the tree demon. He'll be unrestrained. If we don't leave, we'll be devoured by him. The crowd of onlookers immediately dispersed and fled in all directions. Let's go. Jun Moyen and the other World Palace disciples also flew toward the barrier entrance without hesitation. Boom! Demonic chi exploded from the tree and enveloped everyone outside the Heaven Dao Immortal World's barrier entrance. Whoosh! Whoosh! The tree demon's branches grew wildly and reached for the cultivators. One cultivator after another had their bodies pierced by the tree branches. They only had time to let out a scream before their life essence was completely devoured by the tree demons. In less than 10 breaths, there were hundreds of cultivators on each branch. Some had their life essence sucked dry and turned into dried corpses. Some were still struggling and wailing. In just a moment, more than 10,000 cultivators died. A World Palace core disciple had just appeared at the barrier entrance when his head was pierced by a branch. He died immediately. World Palace disciples worked together with this demon. Jun Moyen was indeed a World Palace core disciple. He immediately wielded a heavy sword and charged at the tree demon. The other disciples knew that if they didn't go all out, they would end up like the core disciple who was devoured by the tree demon. They all used their skills and Dao artifacts to fight the tree demon. This was the Heaven Dao Immortal World's territory. They only needed to hold on for a while, and World Palace experts would arrive. No matter how strong the tree demon was, how could it fight against World Palace? Tian Bao, save me. Yume was wrapped by a branch. The branch rose up and stabbed at her head like a sharp sword. Su Fong, who was in the middle of controlling his flying sword to unceasingly cut down the tree branches, heard the cry for help from afar, and his expression couldn't help but change. With Su Fong's current strength, it wasn't hard for the tree demon to kill it. However, due to many concerns, he didn't dare to use his skills and Dao artifacts. Su Fong was indebted to you, Mei, for saving his life. During these days, Su Fong treated her like a little sister and was very close to her. Now that Yu Mei's life was hanging by a thread, he couldn't care less about hiding his strength. Su Fong didn't hesitate to use the illusory fire cloud and used it to burn his eyes. The fire instantly traversed through space and shot at the branch wrapped around Yu Mei. Boom! Flames blossomed, and soon after, the branches began to burn with a huff, instantly incinerating the branches into ashes. Yu Mei, who escaped death, looked down. Su Fong used the ethereal True Records Dao of illusion and gathered the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. It quickly condensed into a cloud under her feet and supported her body. Black-robed, old immortal, you're the one courting death. Don't blame me. Su Fong's eyes were filled with killing intent. Li Haojia, it's time for you to use your skills. Taking advantage of the chaos, Su Fong released Li Haojia. He was a demon catcher, and dealing with the big goblin was his specialty. Brother Su, you should have let me take action long ago. What a powerful tree demon. It's your bad luck to encounter me. Origin transforming heavenly book, blood seal, demon suppression. Li Haojia laughed and couldn't wait to use his Dao artifact, the origin suppressing heavenly book. It was filled with a violent aura that had a destructive power similar to the heavenly tribulation. It seemed that after Li Haojia became an immortal emperor, his ability as a tribulation taker was completely revealed. After Li Haojia made a hand seal, he grabbed blood-red Xin Guang from the blood curse heavenly book and threw it at the tree demon. Chi! 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 The blood-red light drilled into the tree demon's trunk and turned into a terrifying shackle that devoured the big goblin's demonic aura. Under the effect of Li Haojia's Dao artifact, the tree demon's huge body moved uncontrollably toward Li Haojia. A demon catcher. Where did this demon catcher come from? He's so powerful. Under the power of the blood-red shackle, the tree demon finally panicked. However, it still waved its branches and attacked Lihaojia crazily with a fierce aura. It tried to kill Lihaojia before it was killed. Lihaojia used his blood curse heavenly book and released blood-red Xianguang to seal the shackle branches with a forbidden art. The tree demon focused all its energy on Lihaojia and didn't care about anyone else. Jun Moyen and the other World Palace disciples felt the pressure on them lessen. They felt like they had escaped a disaster. When they looked at Lihaojia again, they were shocked. Jun Moyen's eyes flickered with a terrifying light. A demon catcher and a tribulation taker. When did such a genius appear in the heaven, Tao, immortal world? And that cultivator with a physical body called Tian Bao. They must be here for the heavenly mandate, How Song's sex selection. It seems like the Heaven Ascension assembly this time will be very lively. Seeing that Lihaojia couldn't deal with the tree demon, Su Fong didn't stay idle. He flipped his right hand, and the fire cloud spiritual gourd appeared in his hand. Chi, the Nine Suns' immortal fire, shot out from the spiritual gourd and turned into a sea of fire. The tree demon's branches immediately burned in the fire and were reduced to ashes. The Nine Suns' immortal fire's domineering power and the fire elemental divine might's ability to restrain the wood elemental big goblin was fully displayed at this moment. What kind of Tao artifact is this? It can release such a terrifying flame. The tree demon screamed and quickly retracted all his branches. Then he turned back into his human form. It was the black-clothed old immortal. However, his aura was weak, and he didn't have the fierce aura he had before. Whoosh, the black-clothed old immortal, didn't hesitate to escape into the void. The black-clothed old immortal couldn't deal with Lihaojia alone. Now that Su Fong had a Tao artifact that could restrain him, when would he escape? You want to escape? It's not that easy. Lihaojia waved his hand and put away the origin-forming heavenly book. He tore through the void and chased after the black-clothed old immortal. Su Fong also put away the fire cloud spiritual gourd and came before the Yu family. Senior, Yu Yin and the elders of the Yu family all bowed to Su Fong. They looked at Su Fong with eyes full of respect and excitement. The matter had become so big, and Senior Heavenly Treasure had such terrifying power. It would definitely alarm World Palace. Bai Yushu wouldn't dare to attack the Yu family without restraint. Divine light swept across everyone. Seeing that no one from the Yu family was injured, and Yume was also unharmed, Su Fong let out a sigh of relief. Heavenly Treasure. Yume jumped into Su Fong's arms like a frightened bird. She wasn't just frightened because she had almost died, but more because she was worried for Su Fong. Suddenly, there was a commotion in his body. It was the purple Chi Dharma spirit. It suddenly trembled, and after a while it calmed down. Su Fong transmitted his essence spirit and asked, "Azi, what's going on?" The purple Chi Dharma spirit's essence spirit replied, "Master, it's very strange. This little girl has an aura that makes me react involuntarily. I can't tell what it is exactly. Could it be because she has the spiritual race bloodline?" Su Fong was also very surprised. Su Fong originally thought that Yume felt close to him because the awakening of the spiritual race bloodline required Yang Qi. Now, it seemed that things weren't as simple as he thought. Yume still had a shocking secret. Su Fong thought, the Yu family is related to the ethereal spiritual master, and they also have Yume, who has the spiritual race bloodline. They're really not simple. =our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1491. Brother. Jun Moyen flew over with more than 10 World Palace disciples and cupped his fists at Su Fong politely. "What can I do for you?" Su Fong said coldly without any hint of politeness. Without strength, no matter how humble you were, you couldn't escape the fate of being slaughtered. With enough strength, no matter how arrogant you were, you would be treated politely. It was the same whether you were in the great world or the mortal world. Bai Yufei shouted coldly. Senior Martial Brother June is a special disciple of the World Palace. His status is extremely noble. Even some of the big shots of his sex and cultivation families will have to greet Senior Martial Brother June politely when they see him. Who do you think you are to be so rude to Senior Brother June? Who do you think you are to be so rude to me? Su Fang looked at Bai Yufei with disdain and mocked him. Bai Yushu shouted, "How dare you? My clan brother is a core disciple of World Palace. Do you not care about World Palace? You evil cultivator! We're about to take you down and interrogate you. How dare you be so arrogant? Do you not care about World Palace? Evil cultivator?" Su Fang's eyes were cold. On the way to the Heaven Dao immortal world, Bai family experts disguise themselves as Black Star Pirates and try to kill us. Now, the leader of the Black Star Pirates, black-robed old immortal, is here to kill cultivators. This is enough to prove that your Bai family is secretly colluding with black-robed old immortal. Black-robed old immortal's identity has been exposed. He's an evil tree demon. Yet, you're accusing me of being an evil cultivator? Su Fang's words were sharp and incisive, and he had secretly unleashed the sovereign's aura of the way of the monarch. It was a huge deterrent to Bai Yushu, making it difficult for him to speak up for himself. He looked like he was trembling and had a guilty conscience. There's such a thing? Jun Moyen and the World Palace disciples, as well as many surrounding cultivators, had almost lost their lives to the black-clothed old immortal. Seeing Bai Yushu's expression, their gazes towards Bai Yushu and Bai Yufei instantly turned hostile. You colluded with the tree demon and harmed the cultivators of the immortal Dao. I will kill you right now and seek justice for the cultivators harmed by the black-robed old immortal. Suddenly, Su Fang took a step forward and arrived in front of Bai Yushu in an instant, throwing out a punch. What are you doing? Ah! Su Fang's devastating punch landed on Bai Yushu's body, causing his body to explode into countless pieces that flew in all directions. What a tyrannical divine power! What a ruthless method! In an instant, the surroundings were silent. Hiss! Hiss! When the crowd finally reacted, they all sucked in a breath of cold air and looked at Su Fang with eyes full of awe. Bai Yufei roared, "You dare to kill my clan brother? Cultivators of World Palace, listen up. Take this person down." "Shut up," Jun Moyen suddenly shouted coldly. Bai Yufei was stunned and said in surprise, "Senior Brother Jun, this person has no respect for World Palace and killed Bai Yushu in front of Senior Brother Jun. His crime is unforgivable. Why is Senior Brother Jun reprimanding me instead? Bai Yufei, do you think that I, Jun Moyen, am an idiot? Although I can't be sure if the Bai family is colluding with the Black Star Pirates, I know that you framed this Tianbao friend because you wanted to borrow my hand to deal with him, or perhaps you wanted to borrow his hand to kill me. You still want to drag World Palace into this. Such intentions are simply sinister. Do you really think that I'm just a decoration as a special disciple of World Palace?" Jun Moyen was a 3-Dao Saint Realm cultivator and a special disciple of World Palace. His strength and identity were extraordinary. At this moment, he displayed the prestige and power of a special disciple, causing Bai Yufei to tremble with fear. This Jun Moyen is quite interesting. To be able to become a special disciple of World Palace, he's indeed not a fool. Su Fang raised the corner of his mouth and revealed a smile. Jun Moyen said coldly, "Seeing that we're from the same sect, I'll spare your life. Just wait for the sect to punish you. Why aren't you scramming?" "Thank you, Senior Brother Jun." Bai Yufei cupped his hands and thanked Jun Moyen. If Jun Moyen really killed him on the spot for colluding with the black-clothed old immortal, he would at most be reprimanded by the upper echelons of World Palace. He wouldn't be punished at all. Letting him go like this was already showing him mercy on account of the Bai family. Before he left, Bai Yufei glared at Su Fang fiercely. Obviously, he would not let this matter rest. "Brother." Jun Moyen cupped his hands and greeted Su Fang. Su Fang said indifferently, "What can I do for you?" Jun Moyen said, "Previously, this seat listened to Bai Yufei's slanderous words and offended Xiongtai. Please forgive me equals N_R. It doesn't matter." Su Fang sneered in his heart. If it were not for the battle with the black-clothed old immortal, this matter would have fallen into by Yushu's hands, and Jun Moyen would not have said a word. Now, Jun Moyen was so polite. Wasn't it because he had seen Su Fong's strength? In the big world, strength was always the king. While they were talking, whoosh, Li Haojia broke through the air. Looking at his excited face, it was obvious that he had defeated the black-clothed old immortal. Su Fong secretly transmitted his voice with his vital spirit. Brotherly, how is it? That black locust tree, big goblin, is very powerful and difficult to deal with. But in my hands, how much can he do? Li Haojia replied, his vital spirit's voice full of arrogance. Very well. Let's not talk to each other for the time being, so as to avoid unnecessary trouble. Su Fong secretly warned. Previously, when Su Fong released Li Haojia from the True Dragon realm, it was a chaotic time, and no one discovered their relationship. Both of you are peerless geniuses. You must have come to the Heaven Dao immortal world for the World Palace's Heaven Ascending Assembly, right? Su Fong replied, I came to the Central Immortal Domain to gain experience under the orders of my sect. I didn't know about the Heaven Ascending Assembly before. Li Haojia said indifferently, what Heaven Ascending Assembly? I'm not interested. Both of you are true peerless geniuses. Naturally, you don't care about those so-called geniuses and disdain to compete with them. However, the Heaven Ascending Assembly held by the World Palace this time is different from the previous years. It will be a pity if you miss it. Jun Moyen did not care about their expressions. Instead, he was even more polite. Seeing that Jun Moyen was so serious, Su Fong was also curious. I wonder what's so special about the Heaven Ascending Assembly held by the World Palace. Every 1,000,000 years, the World Palace will hold a Heaven Ascending Assembly to select peerless geniuses. As long as they have cultivated for less than 1,000,000 years, they are qualified to participate. Once selected, they will become a disciple of the World Palace. It can be said to be a meteoric rise. This Heaven Ascending Assembly is very different from the previous ones. The World Palace will give out generous rewards, and the top 10 geniuses will have a chance to enter the Dragon Birth Pool to cleanse their marrow. Don't miss such a heaven-sent opportunity. Su Fong and Li Haojia looked at each other and asked at the same time, what's the Dragon Birth Pool? You two don't even know about the Dragon Birth Pool? Jun Moyen was startled and then smiled. Both of you obviously come from other immortal domains. The Dragon Birth Pool is famous in the entire Central Immortal Domain. Then Jun Moyen explained slowly. It turned out that the so-called Dragon Birth Pool was a place where a peerless expert of the World Palace sealed the corpse of a fallen divine dragon and created a formation to absorb the essence of the stars and the natural spiritual chi of heaven and earth for the World Palace's cultivators to cultivate. When a cultivator cleansed their marrow in the Dragon Birth Pool, they could be reborn and break through the shackles of cultivation. Even peak immortal emperors could increase their chances of becoming immortal supremacies by at least one level after cleansing their marrow in the Dragon Birth Pool. In the Central Immortal Domain, immortal emperors were very common, but immortal supremacies were still very rare. Immortal supremacies were peerless figures who stood at the pinnacle of the entire great world. It was very difficult for one peerless immortal supremacies to be born among 10,000 immortal emperors. The Dragon Birth Pool could increase the chances of becoming immortal supremacies. Such an effect was simply heaven-defying. What a Dragon Birth Pool! Su Fong and Li Haojia's eyes shone with vigor. Even a special disciple like me doesn't have the chance to enter the Dragon Birth Pool if he doesn't make a great contribution to the sect. Who would want to miss such an opportunity for the top 10 of the Heaven Ascension Conference? Not only the peerless geniuses of the 8 major worlds, but even the special disciples of the World Palace are preparing to participate in the Heaven Ascension Conference. Speaking of this, Jun Moyen revealed an envious and expectant expression. He then continued, judging from your age, I'm sure you're qualified to participate in the conference and make it to the top 10. Su Fong said faintly, if we make it to the top 10, wouldn't our chances be reduced? Although I'm a special disciple, I know my limits. It's very difficult for me to win against those freaks from the World Palace and the peerless geniuses from the 8 major worlds. There are even freaks who are at the peak of the 9 Dao Saint realm. If I can introduce you two to the conference, I'll have made a great contribution to the World Palace. Although you won't be able to enter the Dragon Birth Pool, the higher-ups will definitely reward you handsomely. After Jun Moyin's explanation, Su Fong was enlightened. Jun Moyin then formed a seal to isolate the 3 of them from the outside world. Then, Jun Moyin said mysteriously, "Moreover, there's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity in this Heaven Ascension Conference." Su Fong and Li Haojia were stunned. If you can make it to the top 10 of the Heaven Ascension Conference, you'll represent the World Palace and go to the Heaven's Mandate Bright Firmament sect to participate in the competition. Once you stand out, you'll become a Taoist of the Heaven's Mandate Bright Firmament sect. Not only will it be easy for you to become a Celestial Venerable, you might even become a peak expert of the major worlds in the future. The Heaven's Mandate Bright Firmament sect? Su Fong's eyes suddenly shone with a terrifying light. He was preparing to go to the Heaven's Mandate Bright Firmament sect to find the blood jade for Luo. The opportunity was right in front of him. As long as he won the Heaven Ascension Conference, he would be able to sneak into the Heaven's Mandate Bright Firmament sect and find a way to seize the blood jade. Moreover, there was the Dragon Birth Pool in the World Palace, which Su Fong was determined to obtain. Su Fong said decisively, "Thank you, Brother Jun. I've decided to participate in the World Palace's Heaven Ascension Conference this time." Li Haojia also said, "Since you're participating, I have nothing to do anyway. I'll just take one of the top 10 to play with and make a trip to the Heaven's Mandate Bright Firmament sect." Jun Moyin was overjoyed. =our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1492. Su Fong and Li Haojia both agreed to attend the Heaven Ascension gathering, making Jun Moyin very happy. AP World Palace was the same as any other cultivation faction. The competition between disciples was very intense. Who didn't try to get better resources? Although Jun Moyin was a special disciple of World Palace and seemed very powerful to outsiders, he also faced cruel competition. This time, he brought 2 exceptional prodigies to the Heaven Ascension gathering. If they could get into the top 10, there would naturally be great rewards. Also, Jun Moyin was sure that Su Fong and Li Haojia would become exceptional people in the future. Getting close to them now would only be beneficial to him. There's only 3 months left until the Heaven Ascension gathering. The Heaven Dao Immortal World's King City must be packed right now. I'm a special disciple of World Palace after all, so I naturally have to be a host. Please don't decline. Jun Moyin invited very passionately, as if they were good friends who hadn't seen each other for many years. Seeing that Su Fong was going to be with the exceptional prodigies of World Palace, the old man from Yu family was very anxious. He quickly said, "Tianbao, Qianbei, will I have a chance to visit you in the Heaven Dao Immortal World's King City?" How could Su Fong not know what he was thinking? He smiled faintly and said to Jun Moyin, "The Yu clan saved my life. Now that we're in the Imperial City, of course we'll have to stay with me. I just don't know if it's convenient." It was only 100 people. With Jun Moyin's identity, it wasn't a problem at all. Of course, he agreed. Everyone in the Yu family was overjoyed. With the support of Senior Tian Bao and Jun Moyin, the Yu family finally had a chance to rise up in the world. Jun Moyin, Su Fong, and Li Haojia walked side by side. Behind them were the people from Yu family. They passed through the formation and entered the Heaven Dao Immortal World. Feeling the abundant natural spirit qi in the world, Su Fong and Li Haojia were both shocked. In such an environment, cultivation speed was naturally much faster than the immortal realm they were in. Using the essence of heaven and earth and borrowing the power of the stars, their abilities were naturally much stronger. Jun Moyin took out a Dao treasure. After activating it, it turned into a treasure ship. It was more than twice the size of the Yu family's treasure ship. Moreover, it was as fast as lightning. The Heaven Dao Immortal Realm was extremely vast. Su Fong merged the Heaven Dao Immortal Realm and the Emperor Ning's residence to form the Square Heaven World. It was already the largest material plane in the immortal realm. However, compared to the Heaven Tao immortal realm, it was not worth mentioning. It was only 1% the size of the Heaven Tao immortal realm. On the vast and boundless continent, immortal cities were built one after another. They were incomparably prosperous, allowing Su Fong to see the true prosperity of the great world and experience the prosperity of the cultivation civilization. Along the way, Jun Moyen told Su Fong and Li Haojia about the local customs and customs of the Heaven Tao immortal world. They felt like country bumpkins who had entered a bustling city. Half a month later, the treasure ship arrived at the depths of the Heaven Tao immortal realm. A huge city appeared in their sight. This was the Heaven Tao immortal realm's king city. In the sky above the king city, ancient ruins floated. They were 10 times bigger than the constellation of 9 heavens. Above the ruins, there were endless palaces, forests, and rivers. It was a beautiful scene. World Palace. In the center of the ruins, there was a towering platform that shook the sky. On top of it, there was a golden and dazzling palace. It was surrounded by immortal fog like a mirage. This was the absolute ruler of the Heaven Tao immortal realm. It was the center of the World Palace's highest authority. Jun Moyen brought Su Fong, Li Haojia, and the others to the sky above the king city. They settled down in a palace below the World Palace. Jun Moyen originally wanted to arrange another place for Li Haojia, but was rejected by Li Haojia. He stayed with Su Fong. Su Fong created a formation in his room and then entered the true dragon world with Li Haojia. So, the Lord of 5 Poisons appeared in Su Fong's cultivation palace. He seemed a bit impatient. Su Fong, Li Haojia has a chance to show off. How can I not be there? I also want to participate in the World Palace's Heaven Ascension Assembly. The Lord of 5 Poisons said impolitely. Su Fong said decisively, "This is a rare opportunity. We naturally can't miss it. The 3 of us have to participate. Also, let Monk Shangde and the others participate. This is a rare opportunity. It can be considered a training experience." Su Fong then warned, "But be careful of your identity being exposed. The World Palace is a branch of the Heaven Tao immortal realm. If your identity is exposed, and Heaven Tao immortal Lord Xian Shu and Feng Wuzi of the Heaven Tao immortal realm know, it will bring trouble." Of course, Li Haojia and the Lord of 5 Poisons nodded. Here, Li Haojia took out the corpse of a tree demon from his storage ring. It was the black-clothed old immortal that he killed. Not only the corpse, but the spiritual pearl of the black-clothed old immortal was also obtained by Li Haojia and given to Su Fong. The 2 left the cultivation palace and went to prepare for the Heaven Ascension Assembly. The black-clothed old immortal is a tree demon that is cultivated for tens of millions of years. His life essence is more abundant than ordinary immortal supremacies. There's also demon chi and wood essence. Not only will my golden core origin recover to a certain extent, but my dragon-subduing true body will also be completely recovered. In this way, I can use the dragon race's techniques and abilities to participate in the Heaven Ascension Assembly. I don't have to worry about my identity being exposed. Su Fong collapsed his physical body and turned into the underworld blood sea to devour the black-clothed old immortal's physical body and spiritual pearl. Sizzle. The black-clothed old immortal's corpse floated in the blood water. Under the powerful, devouring, and corrosive power of the underworld blood sea, it quickly turned into blood water. The majestic life chi and wood essence were absorbed by Su Fong. The dragon subduing wood burned with an astonishing green immortal light. The overbearing dragon chi that was full of life was constantly vibrating excitedly in the blood water and crazily growing. The demon chi in the black-clothed old immortal's corpse, especially the demon chi in the spiritual pearl, was injected into the golden core origin by Su Fong with the power of 9 suns, causing the cracks on the golden core origin to gradually heal. The flame of life was burning in the blood sea. The area of the blood sea was expanding little by little, and the reincarnation divine might became even more astonishing. Even Gue Gay, who had turned into blood water and merged with Su Fong, also obtained great benefits, and his strength rapidly increased. This state lasted for more than a month. Su Fong finally devoured the black-clothed old immortal's corpse and spiritual pearl. Whoosh! Su Fong condensed the blood water into a physical body. Inside the physical body, the blood threads of the dragon subduing wood and Su Fong's flesh and meridians were more closely integrated. It also extended to the meridians below the calves and all the way to the feet. In this way, the dragon subduing what had already fused with the body. Not only was the dragon subduing true body completely recovered, but it had also advanced a step. Chi Chi Chi. Su Fong activated the dragon, subduing true body, and quickly transformed into his dragon form. In an instant, Su Fong transformed into a 300-foot-tall dragon man. His body was covered in dragon scales, and there were horns on his head. His hands had also turned into dragon claws. An astonishing aura burst out, causing the surrounding array to shatter layer by layer. Even the space of the true dragon realm was constantly shaking. Su Fong hurriedly returned to his normal state. What a powerful physical strength. Even if I don't activate the dragon race's divine ability, I still have the ability to fight demon venerable Monsi head-on. Moreover, I can maintain this state for a long time. The powerful feeling of power filled Su Fong's heart with great confidence. After a while, Su Fong's eyes revealed a puzzled look. Strange, my dragon subduing true body has already reached a mature state. After activating the dragon subduing true body, why am I still in my dragon man state and not a real divine dragon? Law spoke from the blood jade in his body. Divine dragons are mysterious and incomparably powerful existences in the three realms. Unless you cultivate the dragon subduing true body to a certain level and cultivate more divine power in your Tao Palace of heaven and earth, you will be able to transform into a divine dragon. At that time, you will be able to contend against the pinnacle powerhouses of the great world with the dragon subduing true body alone. Law, you know so much about physical cultivation. That's because my race focuses on physical cultivation. Naturally, I know a lot. Then, is my dragon subduing true body considered mature? Obviously, it hasn't reached a mature state. Your dragon subduing true body not only needs what essence, but also a large amount of dragon chi equals in _1. Dragon chi? It won't be long before I can obtain the true divine dragon chi, and not the dragon chi obtained from cultivating the dragon race's cultivation method. At that time, the dragon subduing true body should be mature. Su Fong's eyes were filled with anticipation. Since the dragon saliva pond was built from the corpse of a fallen divine dragon, it would certainly have an incomparably pure and abundant dragon chi. The overall strength of the central immortal domain's cultivators is much greater than the one you were in before. Moreover, the various divine abilities and Tao artifacts are incomparable to those of other immortal domains. If you don't use divine abilities in your Tao Palace of Heaven and Earth, World Seed, and Golden Core Origin haven't recovered, it will be difficult for you to enter the top 10 of the Heaven Rise Assembly. Hearing Law's warning, Su Fong nodded and said, Law, I will do my best. Entering the top 10 of the Heaven Rise Assembly, the dragon chi of the dragon saliva pond is secondary. The most important thing is to sneak into the Tian Minghao Tsang sect and obtain the blood jade. I look forward to that day, Luo Yu said. His primordial spirit had been separated from his physical body and shackled in the blood jade for countless years. Law had long given up on the idea of recovery. Now that he had the opportunity to find a piece of hope, it rekindled the disheartened Law's hope. The conversation with Law ended. Su Fong originally planned to cultivate until the start of the Heaven Rise Assembly. Suddenly, he raised his eyebrows and flew out of the true dragon realm and returned to the palace. Isn't that heavenly treasure very powerful? It can even defeat the powerful tree demon. Why is it acting like a coward now? An extremely arrogant voice came from outside the palace. Su Fong walked out of the palace and scanned the outside with divine light in his eyes. Immediately, coldness seeped out from his deep eyes. Outside the palace, hundreds of people gathered. More than a dozen Yu family cultivators were knocked to the ground. They were all seriously injured. Among them, 3 had their golden cores shattered and their Dao path destroyed. The Yu family elder's breath was weak and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. He also looked seriously injured. There was a cut on the right side of Yu Miaoyin's beautiful face. Blood seeped out and dyed half of her face red. There was a clear palm print on the left side of her younger sister, Yu Miaomei's face. Half of her face was swollen. The one who insulted Su Fong was a young cultivator in brocade robes. His face was full of pride and arrogance. This person's cultivation realm was very high. He had reached the realm of the 5th Dao. At such a young age, he already had the strength of an immortal lord. He could be considered a genius. Su Fong's gaze swept past the brocade-robed cultivator. He did not take him to heart. Instead, his attention fell on a cloaked cultivator behind him. This person looked to be in his 30s. His hair was loose, and he was wearing a linen short robe. He was barefoot and was not tall, but he gave Su Fong an extremely dangerous feeling. He was like a ferocious beast from ancient times. =_ our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review.